Chapter 1788. The Tian Yuan Clan, 2. After Jian Chen successfully purchased the land of the Sen clan, the other people of the Mo clan and the Ando clan all returned. At this moment, all of them had gathered within the discussion hall of the Sen family. However, there were no more people from the Sen family there anymore. All the people of the Sen family had moved out as quickly as possible. From today onwards, the Tian Yuan clan has been formally founded. Mo Ling, Ando Fu. I was wondering if you were willing to join my Tian Yuan clan? Jian Chen asked in a dignified manner as he sat at the very front. He really did possess the bearing of a patriarch right now. Mo Ling and Ando Fu had already made up their minds about joining Jian Chen's clan long ago. The two of them both announced that they would be joining the Tian Yuan clan without any hesitation. All the elders from their clans would join as well. It was also at that moment that Jian Chen formally founded the Tian Yuan clan. The first group of members was composed of the people from the Tian Yuan continent, the Mo clan, and the Ando clan. Patriarch, all clans that move into one of the 36 provincial cities in the Divine Kingdom of Ping Tian require the permission of the Divine Kingdom's officials. The first condition to move into a provincial city is to possess 3 gods. We've already fulfilled that. We just need to seek the royal city's permission, said Mo Ling. He explained the various rules of the Divine Kingdom to Jian Chen in detail. Every century or millennia, you must pay 30% of your income to the royal city. However, all clans that have the right to move into the provincial city but do not have territory can receive a personal command from the royal city after gaining permission, so that the other clans in the provincial city must hand up territory that can be purchased. If a clan in the provincial city has less than 3 gods, they must move out. If they don't, the other clans must destroy them. The people responsible for this area in the royal city might even come personally. Jian Chen immediately frowned when he heard about all the rules the Divine King had set down. The Divine Kingdom really had many rules, making it very difficult for him to adapt. What if you've reached over God? Jian Chen asked. Overgods possess extremely great status within the Divine Kingdom of Ping Tian. If you've reached over God, you only need to pay 10%, and the provincial city where the overgod resides can be directly handed over so that the overgod can rule over it. The royal city will not interfere. Even if there are new clans that want to move into the provincial city, they don't have to ask the royal city for permission anymore. They'll only have to ask the overgod. Ando Fu said fervently. Overgods basically ruled supreme in an entire province. They were insurmountable existences. Jian Chen gently knocked the arm of the chair he sat on with his knuckles. After some thought he said, if that's the case, we don't have to ask for permission from the royal city. Mo Ling, Ando Fu. Go summon your scattered clansmen. Now that our Tian Yuan clan has just been founded, we're in desperate need of people. Spend the next few days to properly decorate the clan. Once it's all completed, send invitations to all the powerful clans in the city. We're going to hold our founding ceremony formally. What? We don't have to ask for permission? Mo Ling and Ando Fu were stunned, but excitement soon filled their faces. On the next day, the plaque that represented the Tian Yuan clan was hung high up above the main entrance. However, the Tian Yuan clan had just been founded, so no one knew about them. There was barely anyone who knew about them at all in the entire city. A few of the clans in the city, along with the Hua family that Jian Chen had competed with for the territory, naturally learned about the founding of the Tian Yuan clan. However, now that quite a few clans were moving out of the provincial city, the territories were being divided up once again within the city. So the clans in the city all busied themselves with taking over the empty land. For this period of time, no one paid too much attention to the new Tian Yuan clan, including the Hua family. Jian Chen founded the clan in the provincial city only to provide a quiet environment for everyone from the Tian Yuan continent to cultivate. He had no desire for any more territory, so he did not try to take over any more land after buying the Sen family's territory. Moreover, with his current strength, he basically reigned supreme in the provincial city. According to the rules of the Divine Kingdom, the city was already his territory. No matter how much land the other clans occupied, he could make them spit it all up with just a single word. This was because the royal city would not interfere if a clan with an overgod wanted to take the entire city as their territory. Mo Ling and Ando Fu used a special method to gather all their scattered clansmen. In just a few days, all the people from the 2 clans arrived in the city in small groups, gathering at the Tian Yuan clan. At the same time, the Tian Yuan clan sent out a notice in the city for the recruitment of guards. A clan could not be founded with just them. They needed a large number of guards and servants to deal with regular affairs. They needed to recruit these people from elsewhere. Of course, Jian Chen let Mo Ling and Ando Fu handle these matters. Although he had founded the clan, he was unwilling to waste his time and energy on these miscellaneous matters. He became a completely irresponsible patriarch. As Mo Ling, Ando Fu, and so on poured their hearts out to decorate the Tian Yuan clan, Jian Chen arrived in the back courtyards that had been labeled as forbidden grounds. He saw that Shangguan Mu'er, Xiao Jin, Xiao Ling, the White Tiger, Houston, Rui Jin, Hong Lian, He Yu, newbies, the seven-colored heaven-devouring beast, and the few people from the world of Forsaken Saints had all appeared outside. Jian Chen stood before them and smiled warmly. He took out a bottle from his space ring, and as he opened it, a dense fragrance immediately emerged. It smells so good. Big brother, what is it? Xiao Ling bounded before Jian Chen. She stared at the bottle in Jian Chen's hand with her large bright eyes, and she could not help but gulp. She had begun to drool. The fist-sized seven-colored heaven-devouring beast fluttered over as well. It also stared at the jade bottle with its small eyes. It was filled with eagerness. Seeing how greedy Xiao Ling had become, Jian Chen could not help but knock her head. His gaze was filled with uncontainable love as he said to everyone, "This is liquid lime. It's extremely valuable. Just a single drop of it is enough to modify the constitutions of those below godhood, allowing them to cultivate with ease. It can also temporarily raise your ability to comprehend, making comprehending the laws of the world even easier. While you still haven't reached godhood, the liquid lime will be the most effective, so ingest a drop quickly." Afterwards, Jian Chen gave a droplet of liquid lime to everyone. Just like that, he lost most of it. In the end, only 5 drops of liquid lime remained in the bottle. Chapter 1789. Entering seclusion. Collectively, everyone marveled at the droplet of liquid lime floating before them. Although this was the first time they had seen liquid lime, they all understood the value of it extremely well. It had probably far exceeded Jian Chen's description. However, just how long had it been since Jian Chen came to the Saints' world? Not only had he founded a clan in the provincial city of the divine kingdom of Pingtian during this time, but he had even obtained such precious liquid lime. As a result, everyone felt admiration from the bottom of their hearts for Jian Chen. The Origin Realm cultivators from the world of Forsaken Saints experienced the most mixed emotions among all of them. They had even been Jian Chen's enemies in the lower world. Xiong Zhong, in particular, had even engaged in a battle of life or death with Jian Chen. Yet now, they had come to the Saints' world with the Spirit King and Jian Chen. During the time they spent in the Bright Moon Divine Hall, Jian Chen had treated them as equals with the people from the Tian Yuan continent. Every time he came to deliver divine crystals, he would give the people from the world of Forsaken Saints a portion. Right now, Jian Chen had actually gifted them a drop of such valuable liquid lime as well so that they could reach godhood easily. The Origin Realm cultivators from the foreign world were all filled with gratitude. Everyone ingested their drop of liquid lime with excited and mixed emotions before immediately entering seclusion. Jian Chen did not leave the region that he had labeled as forbidden grounds. He sat down where he was when everyone entered seclusion to watch over them. He also understood that as the territory of the provincial city was being divided up again, there would definitely be a few clans with a certain amount of power who would go all out for some empty plots of land. He could even sense the shockwaves from battles between gods from time to time. As everyone broke through to godhood, they could not be disturbed at all, so Jian Chen personally remained here to watch over them and prevent any accidents. After all, among the people who broke through, there were many people that Jian Chen regarded highly. There were even some that he regarded to be more important than his own life, so he could not allow any accidents to happen to them at all. Boom! A deafening boom rang out in the distance, and it basically shook up a portion of the city. Gods had begun fighting in the provincial city again. Layers of defensive formations appeared faintly in the air, nullifying as much as 90% of the shockwaves. However, the remaining energy still wreaked havoc in the surroundings as a great gale of wind. This was not the only disturbance. There were disruptions from fighting in other parts of the city as well. The flames of battle seemed to have contaminated the current city, making it very unpeaceful. Many powerful clans took part, and even the clans that were ranked towards the bottom worked together, and they also took part in the fight for territory. Only the Weiner clan and the newly founded Tian Yuan clan that many people did not know about stayed out of the fight. The Weiner clan had completely lost the right to fight for territory. They had lost 2 mid-gods, so the clan only had 2 early gods present. If it were not for the other god who had been out traveling, they would have probably lost the right to remain in the city long ago. It was busy in the Tian Yuan clan. Everyone busied themselves with arranging the decor, fixing buildings, planning structures, casting down protective formations, and so on. These tasks could not be completed in a short amount of time. The disruptions in the city lasted for 3 days before finally settling down. The empty land had been divided, and it was also at this time that the clans in the city finally looked towards the Tian Yuan clan. At the same time, they sent a large number of scouts to check on the reality of the matter. They even infiltrated the clan through the public recruitment the clan was holding. Ancestor, I've already investigated the current situation. The Tian Yuan clan is formed from the Mo clan and the Ando clan, but they don't seem to be the actual people in charge. A middle-aged man stood in a discussion hall within the Hua family as he reported all the information he had obtained. Up ahead sat a god of the Hua family, while all the deity elders stood to the 2 sides below. Have you found out the origins of the founder of the Tian Yuan clan? The ancestor asked. Ancestor, the patriarch of the Tian Yuan clan is extremely mysterious. I haven't obtained any information on him, and I haven't even seen him before. However, there's a forbidden zone in the Tian Yuan clan. Their elders are personally stationed there, and we can't enter that place. The ancestor of the Hua family pondered and said, Looks like the mysterious patriarch of the Tian Yuan clan is in the forbidden grounds. Humph, it doesn't matter where he is. Are we, the great Hua family, supposed to be afraid of a clan that has only just been founded? And the territory of the Sen family should have belonged to us already, but we never expected the Tian Yuan clan to take it instead. We have to redeem our dignity. At this moment, Hua Luji walked in from outside with a sunken face. Luji, what do you plan on doing? The seated ancestor said. Hua Luji was also an ancestor of the Hua family, so they possessed relatively similar statuses. If I've guessed correctly, the patriarch of the Tian Yuan clan must be that kid. Humph, I'd like to see just how long his Tian Yuan clan can last in the provincial city after acting so arrogantly before me. Hua Gu, don't interfere with this matter. Leave it to me, Hua Luji said to the seated old man. Although all the powerful clans had learnt of Jian Chen's identity when he took over the divine crystal mine, not all the gods had gathered there. Basically, only the strongest gods of each family had gathered in the discussion hall back then. As a result, although Hua Luji had heard that an overgod had taken over the divine crystal mine, he had no idea who this overgod was, nor had he seen an image of him. Luji, since the Tian Yuan clan is bold enough to fight against us for territory, they must have some confidence. You must not act recklessly. Let's look into the matter some more, Hua Gu said. Inside the Tian Yuan clan, Mo Ling and Ando Fu were currently engaged in an intense conversation over how the formations in the clan were supposed to be arranged. Mo Ling, that doesn't seem to be a great idea. The provincial city itself already possesses a large-scale energy-gathering formation. As a result, the origin energy in the city is several times denser than outside. If we also cast down an energy-gathering formation near our Tian Yuan clan, wouldn't we be stealing quite a large portion of the origin energy in the city? Ando Fu frowned. He felt that it was not a good idea. Chapter 1790. Disturbances in the provincial city. Mo Ling chuckled aloud and rubbed his bald head. The entire provincial city basically belongs to the patriarch now. How would there be any problems if the patriarch created an energy-gathering formation within his own territory? Moreover, with the support of the patriarch, our Tian Yuan clan is a clan with an overgod at the very least. If we act the same as the other clans, how will we be able to show them our status? Fair enough. Let's do that then. Since the patriarch has already delegated the general affairs to the 2 of us, we should do our best and complete it to the best of our ability and not disappoint the patriarch, said Ando Fu. Afterwards, he and Mo Ling immediately went off to arrange the matter. At the same time, the Hua family began to move. Several of their deities left the clan with groups of guards, scattering into several dozen groups across the city. They all surrounded a few inns and shops before smashing the plaques and signs forcefully, turning them to dust. Afterwards, they replaced them with plaques and signs they had prepared beforehand. The new signs all possessed the symbol of the Hua family. All the shops and inns that possessed this sign belonged to the Hua family. The guards and elders from the Hua family only touched the signs that possessed the unique symbol of the Tian Yuan clan. These businesses originally belonged to the Sen family, But ever since the Sen family sold their land to the Tianyuan clan, the businesses naturally ended up with the Tianyuan clan. All these people belong to the Hua family, and all the signs they're destroying seem to belong to the newly founded Tianyuan clan. The Hua family clearly wants to take over the businesses of the Tianyuan clan forcefully. What a pitiful clan. They've only just been founded, and before they can run their businesses, the Hua family has forcefully taken over them. The strong prey on the weak. Who can you blame for the Tianyuan clan for being so weak? What can the Tianyuan clan do even if the Hua family wants to abuse them? The Tianyuan clan offended one of the three most powerful clans as soon as they moved into the provincial city. It'll be a gloomy future for them in the provincial city. I had even planned to become a guard for the Tianyuan clan. Looks like it's better to remain distant from that clan now. The matter of the Hua family taking over the Tianyuan clan's businesses spread through the city very quickly. In just a short time, everyone learned about it, and it became the topic of conversation. However, the Hua family was not the only clan that forcefully took over the Tianyuan clan's businesses. As one of the three most powerful clans as well, the Dong family began to move, taking over the remaining businesses of the Tianyuan clan. Working together, the Hua family and the Dong family took over all the businesses of the Tianyuan clan. Soon, the Tianyuan clan was only left with their manor. The movements of the Hua family and the Dong family against the Tianyuan clan had raised quite a large discussion in the provincial city. However, without any doubt, everyone took pity in the Tianyuan clan for what they had gone through. The Tianyuan clan's response was as expected. They did nothing as if they had no idea that others had completely taken over all their businesses. There was an extremely large courtyard within the provincial city, and a stone tower that was several hundred meters tall stood in its depths. At this moment, two old men sat on the top floor. From the presences they gave off, they were both gods. The two of them were the ancestors of the Nanyun clan, Nanyun Tong and Nanyun Haobai. Uncle Tong, why do I feel like you've become more and more cowardly lately? You're even so cautious about a small clan that has only been founded recently. Look at the Hua family and the Dong family. After taking over all the businesses of the Tianyuan clan, the Tianyuan clan hasn't given a rat's ass about it at all. They dare not to. If you had listened to me, our Nanyun clan would have been able to claim at least 20% of the Tianyuan clan's land. It'll provide our clan with quite a large income. Even if the royal city orders us to hand the land over in the future, the Tianyuan clan will still have to pay a huge sum to buy it back. Nanyun Haobai was perplexed. Nanyun Tong shook his head gently. He stared in the direction of the Tianyuan clan and said gently, Haobai, the Tianyuan clan is not as simple as they seem on the surface. If you pay close attention, it'll be pretty obvious that although the people below godhood are unsettled and are panicking after the two clans have taken over all their businesses, all their deity elders and their two early gods remain extremely composed. Perhaps they were already expecting this, said Nanyun Haobai. Nanyun Tong shook his head again. His eyes deepened, and he said, if I've guessed correctly, the provincial city is about to change. It's going to change? Nanyun Tong was confused. Hua Luji hovered high in the air above the Hua family as he gazed coldly in the direction of the Tianyuan clan. He sneered, Tianyuan clan, this is what happens when you offend our Hua family. I'd like to see how you gain a stable footing in the provincial city from today onwards. Hua Luji's voice was scornful towards the Tianyuan clan. At this moment, a huge formation suddenly appeared in the direction of the Tianyuan clan. With the appearance of the formation, all the origin energy in the provincial city immediately became chaotic. Soon afterwards, the origin energy gathered towards the Tianyuan clan rapidly. The sudden occurrence immediately attracted everyone's attention. As they looked towards where the origin energy gathered, they all became stunned as disbelief flooded their faces. Hua Luji's disdainful expression froze at that moment. He became slightly stunned as well as he gazed in the direction of the Tianyuan clan dazedly. Gradually, disbelief filled his face as well. The Tianyuan clan has actually set up a large-scale energy-gathering formation, drawing over around 40% of the origin energy in the city. What is the Tianyuan clan doing? How can they be so reckless? Hua Luji murmured. The Tianyuan clan's actions had stunned him. Such a large energy-gathering formation had basically taken away 40% of the city's origin energy. Even the three most powerful clans in the city would not dare to do something like that, as it would directly get in the interests of the other clans in the city. The final outcome would be that they would become enemies of the entire city. all the powerful clans and experts who had settled down in the city would gang up against them. At the same time, a huge uproar rose in the streets of the city. Is the Tian Yuan clan stupid? How can they do such a dumb thing? How will all the powerful clans in the city just stand by when they want to take so much origin energy for themselves? The Tian Yuan clan could not even resist the abuse from the Hua family and the Dong family. Now they've done it. They've offended all the clans in the city in a single stroke. As everyone discussed in the streets, powerful presences immediately appeared in various places across the city. Many gods from the clans of the city flew towards the Tian Yuan clan with hostility. Chapter 1791. A single strand of sword qi in the Hua family. Hua Luji hovered in the air dazedly for a while before gradually sneering. He immediately flew towards the Tian Yuan clan along with another ancestor of the Hua family. The Nanyun clan and the Dong family also had gods that hurried towards the Tian Yuan clan aggressively. People from the three strongest clans of the provincial city had begun to move. The Tian Yuan clan was just a tiny newly founded clan, yet they dared to set up a large-scale energy-gathering formation in such a public manner, robbing the entire city of 40% of its origin energy. Their action had already gotten in the interests of the other powerful clans in the city severely. None of them would allow something like that to happen. Xiaogang, do not interfere with what's happening with the Tian Yuan clan. Come back. However, just when the god from the Nanyun clan had flown out, an ancient voice rang out from the great stone tower. Nanyun Gang was startled, and he became slightly perplexed. He glanced in the direction of the Tian Yuan clan before following the instructions of the voice, flying back to the stone tower. This was because the voice came from one of the three greatest experts in the provincial city. He was also the strongest in the Nanyun clan, Nanyun Tong. Xiaogang, you don't have to ask too much about this. All you need to do is pay attention, and you will understand very soon. Before Nanyun Gang could say anything after he returned to the stone tower, Nanyun Tong had already spoken out. His gaze remained fixed in the direction of the Tian Yuan clan during the whole time. Over a dozen gods had already surrounded the Tian Yuan clan now. They were the ancestors of various clans, and they all hovered high in the air, looking down on the Tian Yuan clan. However, all the elders and even Mo Ling and Ando Fu remained their usual selves when they faced the encirclement of so many gods. They remained composed. The other members of the clan, as well as the recruited servants and guards, became extremely pale on the other hand as if it was the end of the world for them. We're done for. We're done for. How can the ancestors of the Tian Yuan clan be so dumb? This is the provincial city, not some rural wilderness. Why did they cast down such a large energy-gathering formation? Now they've done it. They've offended all the powerful clans in the entire provincial city in a single stroke. Sigh. I've only just joined the Tian Yuan clan as a guard. I had thought that I would be able to get a good cultivation environment so that I could further develop my strength, but I never thought that the ancestor of the Tian Yuan clan would have no understanding of the rules of the city as well. That's it. The Tian Yuan clan has become the public enemy of the entire city. It'll probably be impossible for them to remain in the city in the future. I better leave the Tian Yuan clan quick before they start fighting. Many guards and servants chose to leave the Tian Yuan clan without any hesitation. First, the Hua family and the Dong family had taken over all of the clan's businesses and territory, making it very difficult for them to develop in the future. Yet now, they had even offended all the clans in the city. They could all see the end of the Tian Yuan clan. Immediately, quite a few people fled through the main entrance of the clan as quickly as they could. Less than a third of them remained. Of course, these people had all been recruited from the city lately. None of the clansmen from the Mo clan and the Ando clan had left. The people of the two clans did not stop these people from leaving because the people that they had recruited basically belonged to an agreement where they would only work when they were willing. They would serve the clan, and the clan would provide them with an environment for cultivation methods, divine crystals, and so on as remuneration. Mo Ling and Ando Fu hovered high in the sky as well. They faced the gods, and they remained calm. They clasped their hands towards the people calmly, and Mo Ling said, although our Tian Yuan clan has already been founded for several days, the internal arrangements have not been settled yet, so it's still overly early for everyone to come and congratulate the founding of our clan. Once we complete all our arrangements, the patriarch will personally send invitations to everyone and formally announce the founding of the clan. The faces of all the gods gathered here darkened slightly. The Tian Yuan clan had basically stolen 40% of the origin energy in the city. They had come to settle that problem, not to congratulate the clan for anything. Mo Ling, take apart your energy-gathering formation immediately and compensate us with 1 million mid-grade divine crystals, or your clan won't be able to remain in the city for 3 days, said a god from the Dong family. His face was sunken. 3 days? Isn't that a little too much time? The Tian Yuan clan has taken away so much origin energy, which will affect everyone in our Hua family. If you don't compensate our Hua family with 10,000 high-grade divine crystals, your clan won't be able to remain within the city for 2 days. Our Hua family will not allow your existence, sneered Hualuji. 10,000 high-grade divine crystals? The Hua family sure has a large appetite. The 1 million mid-grade divine crystals that the Dong family asked for was compensation for the entire city. The divine crystals will go to all the clans, yet the Hua family wants 10,000 high-grade divine crystals just for themselves. A few gods from other clans thought to themselves. They could all tell that Hualuji truly wanted to drive the Tian Yuan clan out of the city. Again, Mo Ling and Ando Fu remained at ease when they were faced with the unreasonable requests of the two clans. Ando Fu stroked his long beard and said, "We're not the patriarch, so we can't make any decision about taking apart the energy-gathering formation or paying compensation." The face of the god from the Dong family turned cold. He said frigidly, "Since you can't make the decision, I'll make it for you." As he said that, the god had already raised his hand. He directly pressed down on the buildings in the clan up ahead. As his hand fell, the origin energy in the surroundings surged violently, instantly condensing into a huge hand that was several hundred meters across. It slammed down towards the ground with shocking might. The ancestor of the Dong family had already reached mid-god, so he did not fear Mo Ling and Ando Fu at all. He directly tried to destroy the Tian Yuan clan before them. The faces of Mo Ling and Ando Fu changed slightly. They immediately tried to stop the Dong family ancestors' actions, but at this moment, a streak of light shot out from the forbidden grounds enveloped by formations in the Tian Yuan clan with lightning speed. It directly collided with the palm of energy from the ancestor of the Dong family. The attack was nullified easily, while the strand of sword qi continued towards the god of the Dong family in the air. Before he could even react, the sword qi had punched through his chest. The expression of god of the Dong family changed. Blood spurted from his mouth, and shock covered his face. He stared at the forbidden grounds of the Tian Yuan clan. The expressions of the other gods gathered there changed at that moment as well. They also gazed towards the origins of the sword qi in shock. Chapter 1792. Ancestor Yen who? Who is it? Who's so that powerful that they can easily wound a mid-god? Is the person the patriarch of the Tian Yuan clan? The patriarch of the Tian Yuan clan is actually so powerful. Surely the patriarch of the Tian Yuan clan isn't an over-god. The gods from the various clans of the city all became very perturbed as their hearts churned. Everyone disperse. Do not disturb the breakthroughs of my friends. If there is a second time, I will not show any mercy at all. At the same time, an indifferent and emotionless voice boomed out from the forbidden grounds of the Tian Yuan clan. None of the gods could send the senses of their soul into the forbidden grounds because formations protected it, so they had no idea what was going on inside. It's his voice. Hualuji's face became extremely ugly when he heard the somewhat familiar voice. He immediately thought of the young man who had stolen the land of the Sen family from him several days ago. That young man is actually so powerful. It is to the point where he can injure a mid-god with just a single strike. Such strength has even surpassed late god. Is he an over-god? Hualuji immediately paled. No, that's impossible. It's impossible for him to be an over-god. There are only so many of them in the divine kingdom of Pingtian, and all of them are supreme existences. How can they be so bored that they've come to the Dong'an province to buy land? That's just completely unnecessary. Hualuji denied his guesses firmly. According to the rules of the divine kingdom, any over-god possessed the right to take over an entire province and make the province their territory. The entire provincial city would also be his property, so there would be no need for them to buy land like what Jian Chen had done. Moreover, Jian Chen had even bought land in a relatively remote region. That was not something that an over-god would do. At this moment, two other figures shot over from the distance with lightning speed, arriving above the Tian Yuan clan in a short moment. It was a middle-aged scholarly man in red robes and an extremely handsome young man who only seemed to be in his 20s. Their appearances immediately caused the other gods in the surroundings to gently clasp their hands in greeting. There were even quite a few people who revealed fear in their eyes. This was because the two of them were part of the three great experts of the provincial city who stood beside Nanyun Tong. They were both late gods. I am Dong Yunjian, and I have come to visit the patriarch of the Tian Yuan clan. I am Hua Jun, and I have come to visit the patriarch of the Tian Yuan clan. Dong Yunjian and Hua Jin both stared at the forbidden grounds of the Tian Yuan clan sternly as they spoke with clasped fists. The patriarch of the Tian Yuan clan had managed to heavily injure a mid-god, and he had even done it in a fashion where the mid-god could not fight back at all. Both of them believed that they could not accomplish this, and only over-gods could reproduce such results. All the gods present looked away from Hua Jun and Dong Yunjian at that moment. They all stared at the forbidden grounds of the Tian Yuan clan that was encased by formations. At the same time, the figures in the surroundings flickered. Gods from all over the city gathered over one by one. Not only had all the gods from the more powerful clans moved out, but even the gods who did not belong to the provincial city had come as well, causing the number of gods gathered here to reach into the 50s. In just a short moment, all the gods within the entire provincial city had gathered above the Tian Yuan clan. Although the large energy-gathering formation in the Tian Yuan clan had attracted everyone's attention earlier, they did not take the matter to heart, as this was a problem for the clans that belonged to the city. However, it was very likely that an over-god had appeared in the Tian Yuan clan now. This matter was extremely important, so it raised the attention of everyone. Even in the divine kingdoms around the divine kingdom of Pingtian, over-gods possessed extremely great statuses, let alone the divine kingdom of Pingtian itself. They were known to be the peak force of a divine kingdom. This was because regardless of the divine kingdom of Pingtian or the neighboring divine kingdoms, they only possessed around a dozen over-gods across the entire nation. If the over-gods who had died in God King Duanmu's dwelling were taken into consideration, some of the divine kingdoms possessed less than 10 over-gods now. This was more than enough to demonstrate the rarity of over-gods. The patriarch has already said to not disturb the breakthroughs of his friends. Once you cause them to fail due for some reason, you should be able to imagine the consequences. Mo Ling held his chest up high as he hovered in the air, speaking to everyone in high spirits. Everyone, please return. In a few days, our Tian Yuan clan will hold a founding ceremony. At that time, you will naturally be able to see the patriarch himself, Ando Fu added in amazement. Several years ago, he had to act submissively before these gods simply because he was afraid of offending them. However, he could now directly act as he wished before these gods. Even the three great experts of the provincial city could do nothing to him, and they were unwilling to offend him. The gods of the provincial city naturally had nothing more to say in response to Mo Ling and Ando Fu's words. They all continued with a few words of courtesy before leaving. The ancestors of the clans in the provincial city treated the Tian Yuan clan completely differently now. They had come all sunken-faced, but they had left enthusiastically, and some even acted politely. They did not dare to speak about the energy-gathering formation in the Tian Yuan clan anymore. Wait. Hua Luji of the Hua family and Dong Shengri of the Dong family have been impolite towards our patriarch, so please stay behind for the judgment of the patriarch. Just when the people of the Hua family and the Dong family were about to leave, Ando Fu suddenly spoke out. The expressions of the two late gods from the Hua family and the Dong family changed when they heard that. The faces of Hua Luji and the mid-god from the Dong family who Zhen Chen had wounded sank, becoming extremely ugly. Luji, you should stay in the Tian Yuan clan for the time being. Be sure to properly make it up to the patriarch, Hua Jun said indifferently. Shengri, you should stay behind for now as well, Dong Yunjian said to the mid-god of his family as well. He was filled with helplessness. In the end, Hua Luji and Dong Shengri both stayed behind. They had basically become prisoners. Even though the person who wanted Hua Luji and Dong Shengri to stay behind was Ando Fu, the strongest experts of the Hua family and the Dong family did not dare to object. This was because the Tian Yuan clan possessed an over-god. Before an over-god, the three great experts of the provincial city were a joke. In the blink of an eye, all the gods gathered at the Tian Yuan clan dispersed, while the disturbance the energy-gathering formation caused calmed down just like this. The gods of the Hua family and the Dong family passed on orders as quickly as they could, returning all the territory they had taken from the Tian Yuan clan. They had even replaced the destroyed signs with replicas that were exactly the same. The other gods did not sit around idly when they returned to their clans either. They gathered all their elders to hold an emergency meeting as they discussed the Tian Yuan clan sternly. The Tian Yuan clan had an over-god, so this would affect the provincial city extremely greatly. The addition of an overgod to any provincial city would directly alter the city's fate. The two early gods who had fought against Jian Chen from the Weiner clan gathered together as well. Their faces were extremely ugly. The overgod from the Tian Yuan clan must be Jian Chen. I never thought he would found a clan in the provincial city. This is an utter disaster for our Weiner clan. Sigh. Right now, Jian Chen has just founded the clan, so he has been held down by various matters, which is why he still hasn't bothered with us. Once he has gotten the entire provincial city under him in the future, he'll probably start moving against our Weiner clan. After all, we fell out with him outside God King Duanmu's dwelling in the past. The two gods from the Weiner clan discussed with much worry. Anxiety and bitterness filled their faces. Great-grandfathers, why have you become so worried? At this moment, a young man in embroidered robes walked in from outside. He smiled faintly, possessing the joy and excitement of coming home from a long journey. When the two early gods saw the young man, they were stunned, but it was soon replaced by joy. They both cried out, "Xiao Yan!" The young man was the ancestor who had left the Weiner clan for almost 10,000 years. Ancestor Yan. Chapter 1793. Breakthroughs to Godhood. Ancestor Yan's full name was Weiner Yan. His talent was extraordinary, and he was the most outstanding clansman ever since the Weiner clan was founded. In just 30,000 years, he had reached early god, becoming the fifth ancestor of the Weiner clan at such a young age. Afterwards, he spent 5,000 more years to go from early god to mid-god. Even with the entire divine kingdom of Ping Tian in perspective, there was barely anyone who could match up to his talent and cultivation speed. The Weiner clan, on the other hand, held very high hopes for Weiner Yan. After breaking through to mid-god, Weiner Yan went traveling all by himself and had just returned today. Great-grandfather Tseng, great-grandfather Xuanguang. How come I don't see great-grandfather Sen and great-grandfather Ti? Weiner Yan smiled with a sense of closeness. The great-grandfather Sen and great-grandfather Ti he was referring to were naturally the two mid-gods of the Weiner clan, Weiner Sen and Weiner Ti. Weiner Yan was also an ancestor of the Weiner clan now, making his status equal to the other gods. However, due to his age, he always referred to the other ancestors of the Weiner clan as great-grandfathers. Weiner Tsong and Weiner Xuanguan became gloomy when they heard the question. They said, "Xiao Yan, just too many things have happened in the Dong'an province recently. Your great-grandfathers San and Ti have already fallen." What? Great-grandfather Sen and great-grandfather Ti are already dead. Weiner Yan's face changed suddenly, and his smile disappeared. It was converted into grief. Afterwards, Weiner Tsong and Weiner Xuanguang explained everything that had happened in the recent years to him, including the opening of God King Duanmu's dwelling and the battle with Jian Chen outside. They hid nothing. Xiao Yan. Both your grandfather San and grandfather Ti died in God King Duanmu's dwelling. They lost their lives to the killing formations cast down by God King Duanmu. However, we find it very fortunate now. Fortunately, you weren't in the Dong'an province when the dwelling had opened. Otherwise, you would have probably been doomed as well. Just too many gods died in God King Duanmu's dwelling. Let alone gods, even quite a few overgods died. There were even late overgods among them. Sigh. Weiner Tsong and Weiner Xuanguan said slowly. When they mentioned the dwelling of God King Duanmu now, they were no longer enthusiastic. There was only indifference and melancholy. Great-grandfather Sen, great-grandfather Ti, how did you just go like that? You didn't even see me unite the entire Dong'an province beneath me. You didn't even see the day when our Weiner clan would become the greatest clan in the Dong'an province. Weiner Yan murmured to himself. He was extremely grief-stricken. The eyes of Weiner Tsong and Weiner Xuanguang immediately narrowed when they heard Weiner Yan's words. They looked at Weiner Yan with brimming interest as disbelief flooded their faces. At the same time, there was eagerness and excitement. Even the Hua family, the Dong family, or the Nanyun clan did not dare to say the bold and lofty words of uniting the entire province and becoming the greatest clan in the province because late gods were not enough to rule over an entire provincial city. Although late gods were peak experts in the Dong'an province, there were many other gods in other clans as well. Early and mid gods were not the opponents of late gods in single combat, but they could deal with late gods if they worked together. A late god would be unable to reign supreme within a provincial city. If a late god tried to do that, the other clans would definitely band together to suppress the late god. Even late gods would die when they became completely outnumbered by experts of a similar level. As a result, for a clan to dominate an entire provincial city in the divine kingdom of Pingtian and many of the other divine kingdoms in the surroundings, they would need an overgod. Only overgods could reign supreme in a provincial city. Xiao Yan, what's your current cultivation? Weiner Tsong asked. His voice trembled slightly. Suddenly, Weiner Yan emitted a tremendous presence. The presence was so powerful that it had completely exceeded late god, reaching a whole new level. Weiner Tsong and Weiner Xuanguan were greatly shocked when they sensed the chillingly powerful presence. Surprise flooded their faces, along with uncontainable excitement. Overgod. Xiao Yan, you've actually become an overgod. Jian Chen currently sat a meter above the ground in the forbidden grounds of the Tian Yuan clan as he guarded over the people who were breaking through. The moment Weiner Yan gave off his overgod presence, Jian Chen slowly opened his eyes and gazed in the direction of the Weiner clan. Weiner Yan's presence had only filled the hall of the Weiner clan and had not extended beyond that. As such, even many of the elders in the Weiner clan had failed to sense it. However, it was not enough to hide from Jian Chen's senses. An overgod has actually appeared in the provincial city, Jian Chen murmured softly, and a light flickered through his eyes. However, at this moment, the presence of a breakthrough suddenly appeared in the forbidden grounds. The people from the Tian Yuan continent had finally stepped into godhood. It's Mu'er. Mu'er has actually broken through before the white tiger. Jian Chen stood on the ground now. He looked towards where Shangguan Mu'er cultivated as he smiled faintly. 2 hours into Shangguan Mu'er's breakthrough, another presence appeared. Vaguely, it was filled with a presence of slaughter, making the surrounding temperature drop slightly. The white tiger has broken through as well. Jian Chen smiled even wider. To him, being able to personally witness them reach godhood was an extremely happy matter. Soon after Shangguan Mu'er and the white tiger began their breakthrough, the others broke through as well, successfully reaching godhood. However, the third one to break through was the 7-colored heaven-devouring beast, which had remained the size of a fist the whole time, never taking a human form. Houston was the 4th person to break through among everyone. Afterwards, Xiao Jin, Xiao Ling, Rui Jin, Hong Lian, He Yu newbies, as well as Xiong Zhong, Cheng Jingyun, and so on from the world of Forsaken Saints followed. Originally, it was impossible for a few of them to reach godhood so quickly, but due to the droplet of liquid lime from Jian Chen that was enough for even overgods to lay their lives down for, they had all comprehended the laws of the world much earlier and formally reached godhood. The simultaneous breakthrough of over a dozen people naturally caused quite the disturbance. However, since formations protected the forbidden grounds, no outsider learnt about their breakthroughs. Chapter 1794. Founding Ceremony, 1. After breaking through, no one emerged from seclusion immediately. They only came out after 3 days of consolidation. Ha ha ha, I never thought that there would be a day where I, Heiyu, would become a god. In the past, Origin Realm experts were insurmountable existences to me, but now, I can crush some of the weaker Origin Realm sovereigns with just a finger. Heiyu laughed aloud. In the past, Rui Jin, Hong Lian, and he were trapped within the artifact space like prisoners. They did not even know what the outside world looked like. Yet now, in less than 100 years, he had gone from being a prisoner to a deity. It had only been less than a century, but both his status and strength had undergone a tremendous change. Heiyu felt like it was all a dream. Haha, I never thought that I, the great newbies, would become a deity one day. I do wish that I could return to the ancient times of the Tian Yuan continent. With my strength as a deity, the 4 supreme experts who surpassed Saint Emperor are nothing. They'll all be standing beneath me. Newbies also chuckled aloud. He was in extremely high spirits. Although the other people who had become deities did not say anything noble, their faces were also plastered with excitement and joy. Jian Chen could not help but smile from the bottom of his heart when he saw how overjoyed everyone was. At that moment, he felt extremely at ease as well. This was the first time Jian Chen had experienced this feeling, this mood, after coming to the saints' world. As he saw everyone's joy from becoming deities, he also thought about his firm standing in the provincial city. Jian Chen felt like all the hardships, fighting and killing in the past few years had been worth it. This was because all the fighting and killing he had gone through was just to create a safe land for his friends and family that had come up to the higher world with him. Jian Chen, it really has been tough for you in these past few years. Shangguan Mu'er arrived before Jian Chen in her purple dress. She stared at Jian Chen affectionately with her enchanting eyes. Jian Chen smiled as he looked at Shangguan Muer's heavenly beauty. He gently raised his hand and rubbed her cheek. His eyes were also filled with affection as he said gently, "As long as you all can live a peaceful life, everything I do is worth it." Shangguan Muer did not say anything. She wrapped her slender arm around Jian Chen and pressed her head against his chest gently. She understood that Jian Chen had done everything in the recent years for them. It must have been very tough for him to be outside all alone. Although they had no idea what kind of dangers Jian Chen had encountered, they could tell their severity when they saw an unconscious Xin Jian delivered into the divine hall before. Jian Chen also wrapped his hand around Shangguan Muer gently. He became extremely calm. At this moment, he experienced a certain type of warmth that he had not felt in a very long time. The two of them did not speak much and spent their time together silently. To them, silence was better right now. From afar, the people who had just broken through silently dismissed themselves. They did not make any sounds as they departed, leaving time and space to Jian Chen and Shangguan Muer. The next morning, the deity elders all left the Tian Yuan clan simultaneously to deliver invitations. They flew towards various locations of the provincial city, as they sent the invitations to the powerful clans one by one. The elders were not people from the Tian Yuan clan, and they were all originally from the Mo clan and the Ando clan. However, there was no longer a Mo clan or an Ando clan in the Dong'an province anymore. There was only a Tian Yuan clan. All the clansmen of the two clans had become part of the Tian Yuan clan. The Tian Yuan clan wants to hold a founding ceremony. It's extremely likely for the patriarch of the Tian Yuan clan to be an over-god. We must go to their founding ceremony. Has the patriarch of the Tian Yuan clan finally begun to move? Looks like the Tian Yuan clan will dominate the provincial city from today onwards. Immediately prepare rich gifts. In 3 days, all the gods in the clan shall come with me to congratulate the Tian Yuan clan. The invitations from the Tian Yuan clan raised the attention of all the people in the various clans. Their ancestors all held the invitations as they sternly ordered others to prepare gifts. Ever since the patriarch of the Tian Yuan clan revealed his strength, the status of the Tian Yuan clan in the provincial city had been rising silently, becoming an existence that no one dared to provoke anymore. All the powerful clans had to accept the invitation from the Tian Yuan clan and did not dare to decline it. In 3 days, you three come with me to visit the patriarch of the Tian Yuan clan. In the huge stone tower within the Nanyun clan, one of the 3 great experts of the provincial city, Nanyun Tong, said sternly to the 3 other gods of his clan. The Weiner clan had also received an invitation from a deity of the Tian Yuan clan. After losing 2 mid-gods, the Weiner clan had descended to a point where they were one of the weaker clans in the city. If it were not for one of their gods who had gone out journeying, the Weiner clan would have lost the right to remain within the provincial city. At this moment, Weiner Tsong, Weiner Xuanguan, and Weiner Yan sat in the air within a room. The invitation from the Tian Yuan clan was held in Weiner Yan's hand. He pinched it between 2 of his fingers casually as his young and handsome face revealed that he was in deep thought. "Xiao Yan, what do you think of this?" Weiner Tsong looked at Weiner Yan and asked him. "Let's let Xiao Yan make all the decisions regarding this." From today onwards, Xiao Yan's words will be absolute in the Weiner clan. "We 2 senile old men will both listen to Xiao Yan," said Weiner Xuanguang. Now that Weiner Yan was an over-god, his status naturally differed from the past. Even though Weiner Tsong and Weiner Xuanguan were Weiner Yan's seniors, they would behave politely before Weiner Yan from time to time. They did not even dare to speak too boldly. Weiner Yan said while in thought, "I never thought that a second over-god would appear in the Dong'an province. This is rather unexpected." Although the origins of the over-god in the Tian Yuan clan are rather mysterious, he's still an expert at the same level as me. Our clan naturally has to attend his founding ceremony. 2 over-gods have appeared in the provincial city. Who'll be the one who controls the city in the future then? Weiner Tsong said gloomily. Let alone the divine kingdom of Pingtian, 2 over-gods had never even appeared in the provincial cities of the neighboring divine kingdoms either. Only the royal city of a divine kingdom would possess many over-gods. Weiner Yan smiled coldly in response to that. He said, "The Dong'an province will naturally be in our Weiner clan's control. Our Weiner clan is the proper clan in the provincial city. I naturally have no objections if the Tian Yuan clan wants to remain in the provincial city. In fact, I welcome them. I'd even give them quite a large piece of land. However, if they want to reign supreme within the provincial city, I can only kick them out of here. Chapter 1795. Founding Ceremony, 2. There were no absolute secrets in the world. Soon after the Tian Yuan clan sent invitations to the other clans in the provincial city, the upcoming founding ceremony caused quite an uproar within the provincial city. When the Tian Yuan clan was first founded, there were barely any people in the provincial city who paid attention to them. There were even many people who looked down on the small, newly founded clan. However, it was a completely different case now. The gods in the provincial city only suspected that it was extremely likely the patriarch of the Tian Yuan clan was an over-god. Many other people had completely no idea about anything regarding the Tian Yuan clan. However, many people could tell that the Tian Yuan clan was not simple. Just the simple fact they possessed such a large energy-gathering formation, and were still fine spoke volumes. As a result, the Tian Yuan clan had basically become the center of everyone's attention. Anything related to the Tian Yuan clan would garner the attention of everyone. The founding ceremony of the Tian Yuan clan was naturally not an exception. An extremely vast city sat on a land extremely distant from the Dong'an province like a slumbering, primordial beast. Just its ancient city walls that were covered with marks left behind by time was over 1,000 meters tall. From afar, it seemed to reach directly into the heavens. The city walls really could be described as towering into the clouds. It was majestic and extravagant, making for an extremely imposing sight. The city surrounded by the walls was almost boundless as well. It was several dozen times larger than the provincial city of the Dong'an province. Just traveling between the eastern and western gates of the city would take a relatively long time. For ordinary people, it would have even been impossible for them to cover that distance in their entire lifetimes. This city was the royal city of the divine kingdom of Pingtian. In the center of the royal city stood an ancient yet dignified royal palace. This was the most sacred and revered place in the entire divine kingdom of Pingtian, because it was where the divine king and the grand imperial protector resided. The two of them were the most powerful existences in the divine kingdom of Pingtian, as well as the only two god kings. In the depths of the royal palace, inside a majestic hall, two people currently sat before each other as they focused their attention on the chessboard before them. One of them was a white-robed old man with a long white beard. He seemed extremely ordinary, just like a regular mortal. His appearance was the type that would struggle to raise any attention if he stood in a crowd. The other person was a middle-aged man in purple robes. His face was resolute, and his eyes shone brightly, giving off a sense of dignity. The middle-aged man possessed the vague presence of a ruler. The middle-aged man was the divine king of the divine kingdom of Pingtian, while the old man before him was the grand imperial protector. A Tian Yuan clan has appeared in the Dong'an province. From the analysis of the information from the people below, the Tian Yuan clan was probably founded by Jian Chen. What do you think of it, Pingtian? The grand imperial protector held a white piece in his hand as he hesitated for quite some time while speaking calmly. You thought of Jian Chen extremely highly before, and since he can even repel Qianlong, he's very extraordinary. He'll even be able to become a god king in the future. Although this Jian Chen did seem to appear out of nowhere, so his origins are rather mysterious, that's not important. What is important is that since he plans on developing my divine kingdom of Pingtian, we naturally welcome him very much. After all, with every extra over-god our divine kingdom possesses, the stronger we grow, said the divine king. You share the same thoughts as me. Whether Jian Chen is a citizen of our divine kingdom of Pingtian or not, we have to rope him in no matter what. Even if we ignore his strength, just his background is enough for us to do that, the Grand Imperial Protector said plainly as he stroked his beard. The Divine King raised an eyebrow and said, Are you talking about the soul that Jian Chen assisted in God King Duanmu's dwelling, as well as the young man who saved him in the end? That's right. Before God King Duanmu passed away, he had managed to plant a foot in the primordial realm. He protected himself with the power of his laws. Even if we wanted to get through it, we'd have to spend quite some effort, yet that soul could pass actually through. And that young man who appeared outside was actually protected by another god king. That means that the organization behind him possesses a primordial realm expert at the very least, said the Grand Imperial Protector. The Divine King nodded. After a moment of thought, he called outside Xian Dou. With that, a black-robed burly middle-aged man walked in from outside. He clasped his fist towards the Divine King and the Grand Imperial Protector. A sliver of reverence appeared on his face. To no surprise, the man called Xian Dou was an over-god. The Tian Yuan clan of the Dong'an province is about to hold their founding ceremony. Take rich gifts with you to the Tian Yuan clan and congratulate their patriarch for me, the divine king said sternly. Yes, your majesty. Xian Dou clasped his fist before backing away. In the icy world of the frigid snow province, Bing Lu stood before a huge, icy mountain with his hunched back and dragon-headed staff. Behind him was a middle-aged man in luxurious robes. He stood there politely as he even held his breath. The middle-aged man was the current patriarch of the Yubing clan, Bing Lin. Bing Lin, prepare rich gifts and personally visit the Dong'an province to congratulate the Tian Yuan clan on their founding. Also, greet the patriarch of the clan for me, Bing Lu said without even looking back. Yes, ancestor. At the same time, Guhan Shui, Feng Buell, and Eugene all sent people to the Dong'an province as well. There had been a total of 5 overgods who had struck it off with Jian Chen in God King Duanmu's dwelling back then. Only Ling Hogong did not react to the founding ceremony. Ever since he left God King Duanmu's dwelling, he seemed to have completely vanished. No one knew where he had gone. 3 days later, the Tian Yuan clan was particularly busy. All the powerful clans in the provincial city had arrived at the clan early with great gifts, and without any exceptions, the people leading each group of clansmen were gods. The people all smiled and behaved extremely politely. Even when the Hua family and the Dong family possessed gods who were held captive in the Tian Yuan clan, they did not dare to show any displeasure as if they had completely forgotten the matter altogether. Chapter 1796. Founding Ceremony, 3. The people from the Dong and Hua families behaved like this because they all suspected that the patriarch of the Tian Yuan clan was an overgod. Without a single doubt, the entire provincial city would belong to the overgod now that he had come to the Dong'an province and founded a clan in the provincial city. Even the royal city would not interfere with this matter, so they naturally did not dare to offend the Tian Yuan clan. The patriarch of the Yubing clan has come to congratulate the Tian Yuan clan on its founding. Just when all the clans in the city had gathered, a loud voice suddenly rang out from outside. The message stunned all the people gathered within the hall. Surprise filled their faces soon afterwards. What? People from the Yubing clan of the frigid snow province have come? They've even come to congratulate the Tian Yuan clan on its founding. The patriarch of the Yubing clan has actually come personally. Am I hallucinating? The Yubing clan is an organization that possesses an overgod. Looks like the background of the Tian Yuan clan is far greater than we have ever imagined. Otherwise, why would the Yubing clan from one of the 5 great provincial cities send people here? The people from the powerful clans all murmured to themselves inside. However, before long, the following message utterly stunned the ancestors of the various clans again. They all stared at the entrance dumbfounded. The patriarch of the Guhan family has arrived. The patriarch of the Feng family has arrived. The patriarch of the Yu family has come. Aside from the sword-seeking province, the 4 other clans with overgods among the 5 great provincial cities had all sent important figures with great gifts to congratulate the Tian Yuan clan on its founding. Moreover, these important figures were all the patriarchs of their clans. With just that, all the people from the provincial city of the Dong'an province struggled to remain calm. Just a founding ceremony of the Tian Yuan clan had attracted the congratulations from 4 organizations with overgods. Just what kind of prestige did the Tian Yuan clan possess in the divine kingdom of Ping Tian? After all, it was only founded recently and was mostly composed of people from the Mo clan and the Ando clan. The people of the Weiner clan sat at the very back of the hall. They had been seated there as it meant that they were one of the worst clans present. There were even many other clans who would treat the Weiner clan with disdain. A total of 4 people had come from the Weiner clan. They were the 2 gods, Weiner Tsong and Weiner Shuangguan, their overgod, Weiner Yen, and their late deity patriarch, Weiner Yi. Weiner Yen was in no hurry to reveal his strength, so he erased his presence and hid it away. He sat towards the back quietly, so he only seemed like a deity on the surface. At this moment, even Weiner Yen felt rather surprised when he discovered that 4 other clans with overgods had sent important figures like their patriarchs to take part in the Tian Yuan clan's founding ceremony. However, Weiner Yen began to smile profoundly soon afterwards. He thought to himself, before long, our Weiner clan will be able to enjoy treatment like this as well. I will make the Weiner clan glorious and proud. The patriarchs of the Yubing clan, Guhan clan, Feng family, and Yu family walked side by side as they entered the hall together. They smiled as they conversed with Mo Ling and Ando Fu, who had come forth to receive them. They spoke politely and dismissed any arrogance that they might have possessed as patriarchs of clans with over-gods. This was because they had all come to visit under their ancestors' orders. They understood the power of the Tian Yuan clan. It was an existence that could never be provoked. After everyone had arrived, Jian Chen finally entered the hall in white clothes. Beside him was Shangguan Mu'er in a purple dress. She held onto Jian Chen's arm gently as she made her way towards the seat at the very front with Jian Chen. At that moment, the entire hall fell silent. Whether it was the gods of the Dong'an province or the patriarchs of the 4 clans with over-gods, they all held their breaths as they stared at Jian Chen. Although Shangguan Mu'er was so pretty that she could be described as prettier than a goddess, clearly, no one was in the mood to pay any attention to her. What everyone cared for the most and paid the most attention to was Jian Chen, who possessed the strength of an over-god. This was because they understood that the entire provincial city would be in the young man's hands from this day onwards. Jian Chen and Shangguan Mu'er made their way to the throne that represented the patriarch's seat, and they sat down slowly. Jian Chen smiled plainly. He glanced past everyone below and clasped his hands. He said, "I'm Jian Chen, and this is my beloved wife, Shangguan Mu'er. Thank you all for coming. Ha ha ha, the journey was a little long, so I hope that I'm not late." The commander of the Royal Divine Army of the Divine Kingdom of Pingtian, Xian Dou, greets the patriarch of the Tian Yuan clan. "I congratulate the Tian Yuan clan on its founding, and I believe that the province will become more and more powerful under the lead of the Tian Yuan clan." Before Jian Chen had finished speaking, a rough voice rang out from outside. A burly middle-aged man in black robes strode in. He bore a smile, filling him with a sense of friendliness. "Even the commander of the Royal Divine Army have come. Aside from the Divine King and the Grand Imperial Protector, he's the one with the greatest authority. When over-gods have appeared in other provinces, His Majesty the Divine King normally only sends god emissaries to congratulate them, yet His Majesty has actually sent the commander of the Royal Divine Army for the founding of the Tian Yuan clan. Sir Xian Dou is a late over-god. He's the only one who can hold his ground against Yang Kai in our Divine Kingdom of Pingtian." Everyone's faces changed once again with Xian Dou's entry. They all stood up and clasped their fists towards Xian Dou politely. They were greatly unsettled inside. Jian Chen saw Xian Dou, and his eyes immediately narrowed. He immediately stood up and clasped his fist towards Xian Dou as well, greeting him politely. Xian Dou's strength had actually reached late over-god. The only thing was that Xian Dou had not entered God King Duanmu's dwelling. Although quite a few over-gods of the Divine Kingdom of Pingtian had gathered within God King Duanmu's dwelling, they only accounted for 70 or 80% of the entire kingdom's over-gods. In reality, there were a few over-gods that did not take part. "Patriarch, I have come under the orders of His Majesty to congratulate you. Please accept this." With a wave of his hand, 10 blocks of high-grade divine crystal appeared in the air. Although he was a late over-god, he did not act snobbishly towards Jian Chen at all. The sight of 10 blocks of high-grade divine crystal surprised Jian Chen. This was a great gift and a tremendous amount of wealth to him currently. It had even surpassed what he obtained from God King Duanmu's dwelling. His Majesty is just far too polite. "I do hope Senior Xian Dou can thank His Majesty for me for his great gifts," Jian Chen said with clasped fists. After accepting the 10 blocks of divine crystal, the founding ceremony for the Tian Yuan clan began. Jian Chen also declared that the Tian Yuan clan had been founded in the provincial city as the patriarch of the clan. "Congratulations on the founding of the Tian Yuan clan. From today onwards, our Nanyun clan is willing to abide by anything the patriarch says." Nanyun Tong stood forwards first. At the same time, he expressed that his Nanyun clan was willing to submit to the Tian Yuan clan. "Congratulations on the founding of the Tian Yuan clan. Looks like with the Tian Yuan clan, our Dong'an province has become the 6th great province of the Divine Kingdom of Pingtian. Ha ha ha. I have utter confidence that our Dong'an province will become more and more powerful under the lead of the patriarch." A few ancestors of the clans in the provincial city spoke out. Just like the Nanyun clan, they directly expressed their desire to submit to the Tian Yuan clan. As for the other clans, although they did not directly say that they wanted to submit to the Tian Yuan clan, they all expressed their willingness to abide by the control of the Tian Yuan clan and any arrangements they made. "Patriarch of the Tian Yuan clan, I've heard that you weren't a person of our Dong'an province initially. As a result, I have no objections if you want to found a clan in the provincial city, but if you want to reign supreme and unite all the clans, I, Weiner Yen, cannot allow this." At this moment, a discordant voice rang out from below. All the people in the hall immediately became stunned when they heard that. Shock filled their faces. Before everyone, someone had actually stated his objection towards an over-god so publicly. He was simply too bold. The commander of the Royal Divine Army, Xiando, was slightly stunned as well. He soon looked in Wainer Yan's direction, and his eyes immediately narrowed. His face became rather strange as well. Chapter 1797. Too small for two. This person is actually an over-god. He really hid it well. If he did not speak out and draw my attention, I probably still would not know that there was a second over-god in this hall, Xiando thought. Reflexively, he glanced at Jian Chen, who sat on the patriarch's throne, and his expression became rather strange. He mumbled to himself, looking at it like this, the hidden over-god clearly wants to dominate the entire Dong'an province. The Dong'an province is too small for two over-gods to reign supreme. Looks like there'll be a show soon. However, the patriarch of the Tian Yuan clan is very strong. I heard from the over-gods who have returned from God King Duanmu's dwelling that the patriarch of the Tian Yuan clan, Jian Chen, had slain two early over-gods in the dwelling. Even Yang Kai feared him slightly. At the same time, the patriarch has some ties with the over-gods from the 5 great provincial cities. A light flickered through Xiando's eyes. Although he had not entered God King Duanmu's dwelling, quite a few over-gods from the royal city had, so he naturally knew about the events that had transpired in there. As the commander of the Royal Divine Army whose cultivation had reached over-god, it was naturally nothing difficult for him to learn about what had happened from the other over-gods. Seeing Wainer Yan object to Jian Chen so publicly, all the gods gathered in the hall looked towards him as well. Since Wainer Yan had maintained an extremely low profile before and concealed his cultivation, he did not draw any attention in the hall earlier. Now that he had exposed himself, many people recognized him immediately. It's Wainer Yan. He was once the greatest prodigy of the province. He went from being a mortal to a god in just a few dozen millennia before spending 5,000 years to go from an early god to mid-god. Wainer Yan's talent is very impressive. At the very least, in our Dong'an province, no one could rival him. It's just that he went traveling 10,000 years ago. I never thought he would return today. Wainer Yan sure is bold to speak out against the patriarch of the Tian Yuan clan so publicly. Can't he see that not only have people from 4 of the 5 great provinces come, even the commander of the Royal Divine Army, Sir Xiando, has come to congratulate the patriarch as well. After recognizing Wainer Yan, a low hum of discussion immediately appeared in the hall. The seated gods all began to discuss with each other quietly. The reason behind their discussions was to provide Jian Chen with some information regarding Wainer Yan indirectly, or to use the opportunity to curry up to Jian Chen directly. Jian Chen also looked towards Wainer Yan. He had been expected this because he knew that a second over-god had appeared in the provincial city, and as soon as he had entered the hall, Jian Chen discovered him. This was not because Jian Chen had seen through Wainer Yan before Xiando. Rather, he had always been paying attention to the second over-god in the provincial city. On the other hand, Xiando never paid too much attention to anyone else in the hall. He did not even properly look at them, so naturally, Xiando failed to discover the hidden Wainer Yan. Wainer Yan's method of disguise was nothing special. It was difficult for those below over-god to tell his strength, but over-gods would find out once they paid attention to him. Brother, congratulations on becoming an over-god. From today onwards, our divine kingdom of Pingtian has gained another peak expert. Jian Chen stood up and clasped his fist towards Wainer Yan. He smiled plainly, without minding Wainer Yan's words too much. What? Over-god? Wainer Yan has become an over-god. How is that possible? In just 10,000 years, Wainer Yan has gone from being a mid-god to an over-god. The Wainer clan has actually given birth to an over-god. Everyone was immediately shocked when they heard Jian Chen's words. Disbelief filled all their eyes. Wainer Yan could not help but reveal a sliver of complacency when he saw the shocked faces of the gods around him. He walked forward slowly and stood in the center of the hall. He clasped his fist towards Jian Chen. I am Wainer Yan, and I also congratulate the patriarch of the Tian Yuan clan on becoming the second over-god of our Dong'an province. With the existence of the patriarch, my Dong'an province has now become the greatest province in the divine kingdom of Pingtian, both in name and reality. Wainer Yan labeled Jian Chen as the second over-god of the Dong'an province to declare to everyone that he was the first one. He spoke even more firmly towards the end. directly referring to the Dong'an province as his. Without a doubt, he was declaring to Jian Chen that he owned the Dong'an province. The gods gathered here all held their breaths. All of them were knowledgeable and cunning, so they could naturally tell what Wei Yen was hinting at. Their faces became rather strange, and there was some eagerness as well. They all understood that the patriarch of the Tian Yuan clan and Wei Yen would probably engage in a fierce struggle soon. At this moment, Wei Yen clasped his fist towards Xian Dou, who watched on from one side. He immediately dismissed any snobbishness and said sincerely, "In a few days, our Wei clan will be holding a celebration as well. We will also be setting down some rules for the Dong'an province. I do hope that Senior Xian Dou can grant me the honor and come to visit our Wei clan." Xian Dou clasped his hands back at Wei Yen and said, "Once the founding ceremony of the Tian Yuan clan comes to an end, I must hurry back to the royal city for new orders. I may not be able to make your clan's celebration." Xian Dou did not care about the Wei clan's celebration at all. The divine kingdom of Ping Tian had gained an over-god, holding great significance for the kingdom. Basically, they would receive great gifts from the divine king every time this happened, but there was no need for him, the commander of the royal divine army and a late over-god, to visit personally. Normally, a late god emissary would be enough. The Tian Yuan clan was an exception. Wei Yan's face changed slightly. He could naturally tell what Xian Dou was trying to say. His Wei clan did not possess the right to invite Xian Dou. Xian Dou had come visiting with rich gifts for the Tian Yuan clan's founding ceremony, yet he was unwilling to even grant him the honor of attending his Wei clan's celebration at all. Without a single doubt, it meant that his Wei clan was not as great as the newly founded Tian Yuan clan in Xian Dou's eyes. Wei Yan's face darkened slightly. Chapter 1798. The Earth Spirit Sect. Looks like the Wei clan has not caught Sir Xian Dou's eye, even when they've gained an over-god, Wei Yen. However, it seems like Sir Xian Dou has personally come to visit the Tian Yuan clan due to the orders of His Majesty. Hence, it'll be more correct to say that Wei Yen has not caught the eye of the Divine King. Xian Dou's behavior caused many of the gods currently gathered in the hall to change their minds slightly. Their gazes towards Jian Chen underwent some minute changes as well. This was because they had realized that the provincial city would probably fall under the Tian Yuan clan's control. Even though that was the case, the gods from the various clans still did not dare to show any disrespect towards the Wei clan. After all, the Wei clan was an organization with an over-god now. Although Wei Yen felt like Xian Dou's behavior had embarrassed him, the latter was a late over-god, so Wei Yen could do nothing about it. Then he looked towards Jian Chen and clasped his fist. "In a few days, our Wei clan will hold a celebration and formally announce that we are now a clan with an over-god to the entire divine kingdom of Ping Tian. At the same time, we will lead the province in all matters and pass down some regulations. I hope the patriarch of the Tian Yuan clan will grant me the honor of coming." Wei Yan's voice was assertive. Even though he knew that the patriarch of the Tian Yuan clan was also an over-god, he showed no fear at all, even when he mentioned how he wanted to lead the entire province. Jian Chen's face did not change at all. He sat on the patriarch's throne without moving at all and looked at Wei Yen from above. He said plainly, "It would be rude for me to not. You have granted me the honor of you attending our founding ceremony today, so I will naturally attend your celebration." Wei Yen frowned when he heard that. He was not in a good mood. The patriarch of the Tian Yuan clan had basically said that he was only willing to take part in the Wei clan's celebration because Wei Yen had come to his founding ceremony. If Wei Yen had not come to the founding ceremony, the patriarch of the Tian Yuan clan would probably not attend his Wei clan's celebration. What Wei Yen found to be even more unacceptable was how the patriarch actually sat high up on the throne and spoke to him while looking down. His face had become rather cold. At this moment, Jian Chen continued, "Though about the province, I think it's best to keep it as it is right now. There's completely no need for any extra regulations. Too many regulations will affect the development of the province." All the gods present secretly beamed inside when they heard that. They were not celebrating the fact that Jian Chen wanted to keep the Dong'an province as it was right now. Instead, they were happy that the patriarch of the Tian Yuan clan had already begun disagreeing with Wei Yen. Many of them behaved extremely obediently because they were over-gods, but they felt the exact opposite inside. As a result, they were really eager to see the over-gods of the Tian Yuan clan and the Wei clan turn on each other. They hoped it would get to the point where both over-gods suffered heavy injuries. Xiando also stood to one side with his crossed arm. He said nothing. However, he felt very perplexed over what would happen as well. Two overgods had actually appeared in a single provincial city. It was going to be lively. Wainer Yan's face sank when he heard Jian Chen's words. His gaze gradually turned into a glare, and he said coldly, "Are you saying that you want to oppose my Wainer clan? Do you also think that my Wainer clan does not have the right to rule over the Dong'an province?" Suddenly, Wainer Yan took out a yellow token. He held the token high in the air and called out, "May I ask if my Wainer clan has the right now?" A protector's token from the Earth Spirit sect. Xiando's face changed suddenly when he saw the token, and he cried out. He was extremely shocked. That's right. It's from the Earth Spirit sect. Wainer Yan became very complacent. He could not help but smile arrogantly. The expressions of the gods present all changed slightly when they heard the words, Earth Spirit sect. They all looked towards Wainer Yan in disbelief. "Commander Xian, may I ask about the Earth Spirit sect?" Jian Chen asked Xiando secretly. He had only come to the Dong'an province for so long, so he naturally had no idea about the Earth Spirit sect. A sliver of surprise appeared on Xiando's face when he heard Jian Chen's question. He had probably never considered that Jian Chen would not have heard of the Earth Spirit sect despite being an overgod. However, Xiando still explained the matter to Jian Chen patiently. The Earth Spirit sect is one of the two most powerful sects in the Heavenly Moon Empire. They're extremely powerful, and they possess 5 or 6 god kings. They also have far more overgods than our divine kingdom of Pingtian. I never thought that this Wainer Yan would be a protector from the Earth Spirit sect. He possesses a certain level of status in the Earth Spirit sect. As such, matters will become difficult now, Jian Chen. Xiando explained Wainer Yan's identity rather solemnly. Although Wainer Yan was only an early overgod, the sect behind him was not an existence that could be provoked. The Heavenly Moon Empire? The Earth Spirit sect? Looks like I'll need to spend some time to understand the cloud plane properly, thought Jian Chen. He realized that his understanding of the cloud plane was simply too limited. Patriarch, Commander Xiando, may I ask if there's anything you want to say? Wainer Yan held the protector's token as he spoke to Jian Chen and Xiando arrogantly. Xiando furrowed his brows. He clearly feared Wainer Yan's identity slightly. It was not good news for the Divine Kingdom if he offended a protector of the Earth Spirit sect. This was because the Earth Spirit sect was just too powerful. Even with the Heavenly Moon Empire in perspective, they were one of the 2 most powerful sections. Even the imperial family of the Heavenly Moon Empire feared the 2 sects slightly. Wainer Yan, it's the same as I've said before. It's best if we keep the Dong'an province as it is right now, said Jian Chen. He did not show any fear. He had already founded his own clan in the Dong'an province, so he naturally could not let an early overgod dominate him. Although he was not interested in controlling the provincial city, he could not remain in the provincial city forever. He would leave someday. As a result, he had to ensure that the Tian Yuan clan possessed a stable position in the Dong'an province before his departure. If that's the case, there's no need for your Tian Yuan clan to remain in the provincial city. Piss off. Wainer Yan became angered. With that, he charged towards Jian Chen with lightning speed. He clenched his right hand into a fist and directly threw it at Jian Chen's face. A gleam of cold light flickered through Jian Chen's eyes. He suddenly stood up and stood in front of Shangguan Mu'er. Forming a sword with his fingers, he immediately produced a dazzling streak of light to receive Wainer Yan's punch. Chapter 1799. Fighting Wainer Yan Boom. As the sword chi from the tip of Jian Chen's fingers collided with Wainer Yan's fist, a deafening boom rang out. However, Wainer Yan's fist was extremely tough. A powerful layer of laws surrounded it, and he directly used the toughness of his body to take on Jian Chen's sword chi. Jian Chen's sword chi immediately shattered after striking Wainer Yan's fist. It shot into the surroundings as countless tiny strands. Wainer Yan shuddered, and he took a few steps back uncontrollably. A mark had appeared on his fist and blood flowed from there. At the same time, defensive formations immediately appeared in the discussion hall to stop the shockwaves from the conflict. However, Mo Ling and Ando Fu had cast down all of these formations, so their power was limited. They were more than enough to stop the attacks of gods, but they were extremely fragile before the shockwaves from the attacks of overgods. As soon as the formations appeared, the shockwaves from Jian Chen and Wainer Yan's clash shattered them to pieces. As the shock waves expanded, all the gods in the hall suffered as a result. Many of their expressions changed, and they staggered backwards from the powerful shock waves. Blood dripped from the corner of a few people's mouths as they paled, clearly slightly injured now. Only the 3 late gods were able to remain where they were with their powerful cultivation, but it had forced them to use everything they possessed. The discussion hall shook violently. Even though the discussion hall had been constructed from very tough material, it was unable to stand up to the shockwaves from over gods without the protection of powerful formations. With a deep rumble, the grand hall directly collapsed, reduced to ruins. Dust was kicked into the air. Jian Chen remained before the patriarch's throne. At that moment, only the part of the structure behind the throne remained fine, while Shangguan Mu'er, who he guarded, was naturally fine as well. However, the faces of both Jian Chen and Shangguan Mu'er had become extremely sunken now. Today was the day when the Tian Yuan clan was holding their founding ceremony. It was a sacred and solemn day, yet the overgod from the Weiner clan actually wanted to start fighting without taking the surroundings into account, destroying the discussion hall of the Tian Yuan clan. His actions were basically a slap to the Tian Yuan clan's face. The gods all looked at the ruins of the building and could not help but glance at each other. On such an important day, someone had actually taken apart the discussion hall of the Tian Yuan clan. They all realized that the Tian Yuan clan and Weiner clan had probably fallen out. Mu'er, leave first. Be careful, Jian Chen said to Shangguan Mu'er gently. However, his face was extremely sunken, and his gaze was as sharp as swords as a powerful killing intent flashed through his eyes. He stared at the fearless Weiner Yan. Be careful too, Shangguan Mu'er said gently from behind Jian Chen before leaving slowly. She knew that Jian Chen had become angered. Weiner Yan gradually became stern. He had been expecting this before, so he did not take everything to heart. Even though Jian Chen was also an overgod, he treated him like nothing because he was a protector of the Earth Spirit sect. Let alone Xian Do, even if the Divine King wanted to touch him, he would have to consider the consequences properly. As a result, he did not need to fear the Tian Yuan clan at all thanks to the great background he possessed. However, his heart suddenly jumped when he saw the patriarch's sharp glare that was filled with killing intent. He sensed an ill omen and immediately raised his guard secretly. Suddenly, Jian Chen surged into the sky. Powerful and sharp sword qi permeated his surroundings, shining with bright white light. He seemed to have become a huge sword as he shot away from the city. Weiner Yan, I will be waiting for you outside the city. Show me just what a protector of the Earth Spirit sect has to be able to act so recklessly in my Tian Yuan clan. Jian Chen's voice rang out far and wide. It was audible across the entire city. Weiner Yan could hear the disdain and provocation in Jian Chen's voice. He immediately frowned, and with a cold snort, he followed Jian Chen. 1,000,000 kilometers away from the provincial city, Jian Chen hovered at an altitude of 10,000 kilometers with a sunken face. His white clothes and long hair fluttered in the wind as he stared at Weiner Yan sharply. The presence he gave off was like a sharp sword. It directly plunged into the sky, stirring up the surrounding wind and clouds. Weiner Yan, I will make you understand that my Tian Yuan clan is not a place where anyone can act however they like. Even if you're a protector of the Earth Spirit sect, the provincial city is not a place where you can act as you please, Jian Chen said coldly. Weiner Yan hovered in the sky before Jian Chen with his arms crossed. He was fearless as he said coldly, the Dong'an province belongs to my Weiner clan, so it's not up to you to tell me what I can and cannot do in the provincial city. Patriarch of the Tian Yuan clan, come at me. Let me see just what you're capable of. Don't make me disappointed. A cold light flickered through Jian Chen's eyes. He took a step in the air, and he covered 1,000 meters just like that. He appeared before Weiner Yan as if he had teleported, extending a finger towards Weiner Yan's forehead. As he extended his finger, an extremely bright streak of light condensed instantly. It radiated with sword qi. The strand of sword qi was clearly much more powerful than the one he had used back in the discussion hall. Jian Chen had only struck out casually to nullify Weiner Yan's attack back in the discussion hall. Only now did he use his true power. Humph, you want to kill me right from the start. I'm not that easy to kill, Weiner Yan said coldly. His arms swelled up rapidly as his muscles bulged. They became extremely tough. His hands had become extremely thick and large as well. His fingers were like metal, filled with power as they flickered with a bronze light. He directly slapped at Jian Chen's sword qi. Seeing Weiner Yan's response, Jian Chen twisted his wrist, and the sword qi that shot towards Wayner Yan's forehead immediately stabbed towards his palm. Chapter 1800. Laws of Strength Ding. This time, when Jian Chen's sword qi stabbed Wayner Yan's hand, there was actually the screeching of metal. Wayner Yan's hand had reached an unimaginable level of toughness. Jian Chen's eyes narrowed slightly as he looked at Wayner Yan in surprise. An extremely great force was emitted from Wayner Yan's palm, passing through the sword qi Jian Chen had condensed and directly into his arm. The sword qi immediately dulled. The great force rushed up rapidly and turned his sleeve to tatters. Even he could not help but take a step back from the great force. Laws of strength, Jian Chen murmured as a gleam of light flashed through his eyes. The laws of strength represented the strength of the world. Those who had comprehended this law possessed a body so tough that it had reached an unbelievable level. Most importantly, the laws of strength were also known to be one of the most offensive laws. This was because strength represented an offense, pure offense. Wayner Yan glanced at his huge hand that flickered with bronze light. He saw a deep wound on his powerful hand. Although he had managed to stop Jian Chen's sword qi with his body, his hand was still injured. Wayner Yan was secretly astonished by the wound. He did not use his full strength in the discussion hall before, so it was very natural for the sword qi to injure him earlier. However, he had already unleashed his full strength now. He had even used the battle skill he had learned from the Earth Spirit sect, which strengthened his hand. Yet, it was still not enough to stop Jian Chen's sword qi. The unique battle skill he had learned from the Earth Spirit sect was created especially for those who had comprehended the laws of strength. Once they used the battle skill, the toughness of their bodies would be raised to a whole, new, unimaginable level. They could basically be called human weapons. It was rare for anyone at the same level to be their opponent, and they would even be able to kill people at higher cultivation levels. Of course, that was given that they did not encounter any other prodigies with terrifying strength as well. I've underestimated the patriarch of the Tian Yuan clan. He's stronger than I initially thought. Wayner Yan became stern. From the clash before, he could tell that he was slightly weaker than Jian Chen. In the distance, Xian Dou hovered in the air as he watched the two of them clash. He was secretly amazed. Both Wayner Yan and Jian Chen possess extraordinary strength. Most importantly, the laws that they've comprehended are very powerful. No wonder Wayner Yan managed to become a protector of the Earth Spirit sect. It's all because of the laws of strength he has comprehended. However, Wayner Yan is still a little weaker than Jian Chen. Wayner Yan's comprehension of laws is only at early over God, while Jian Chen's comprehension has probably reached mid over God. However, Jian Chen's personal cultivation seems to be weaker. He hasn't managed to reach a balance with the laws he has comprehended. He's probably only a god right now. At the same time, figures flickered in the distance. The gods had all left the provincial city and hurried over here as soon as possible. They wanted to witness the battle between two over-gods. None of them dared to stand as close to the battle as Xian Dou. Instead, they stood very far away at a place where they believed to be safe enough. Grant me strength. Suddenly, Wayner Yan bellowed out. His body began to swell at a visible rate. In just a single moment, he went from being less than 2 meters tall to being a 10-meter tall giant. As his body swelled, his clothes expanded as well, so even though they were wrapped around him tightly, they still managed to cover his tough, burly body. Wayner Yan's skin became bronze after transformation. He was filled with great strength. 5-finger suppression. Wayner Yan called out. The 5 fingers on his right hand seemed to have become mountains as they fell towards Jian Chen with crushing might. Wherever they passed by, space would ripple. A shockingly cold light flickered through Jian Chen's eyes. He wielded his sword qi as he charged towards Wayner Yan's mountainous fingers with surging might. Boom! With a great rumble, Jian Chen's sword qi almost sliced off one of Wayner Yan's fingers. Currently, Wayner Yan's 4 other fingers surrounded Jian Chen, while his sword qi had dispersed after cutting into Wayner Yan's finger. Wayner Yan's face remained the same as if he did not feel pain at all. The 4 other fingers locked down on Jian Chen. Every single one of them was extremely thick, making them seem like 4 pillars that sealed off all the directions Jian Chen could escape in. Daluo sword. Jian Chen formed a seal, and a golden strand of sword qi immediately condensed above his head. With a flash, the golden sword qi shot towards the 4 fingers with lightning speed. Boom, 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 boom. Immediately, 4 rumbles rang out. The golden sword Qi was extremely powerful, tearing through the 4 other fingers like a hot knife through butter. Powerful energy permeated the surroundings, wreaking havoc as a storm. The sea of clouds in the sky had been ripped to pieces. However, the golden sword Qi still had not dispersed after chopping off Wayner Yan's 4 other fingers. It continued onwards as a golden streak of light towards Wayner Yan under Jian Chen's control. It moved extremely quickly. Wayner Yan paled slightly. All his fingers were hanging loosely now, and only a flap of skin kept them from falling off. They had run out of power. After transforming, his body had become extremely tough. However, he was still an early overgod after all. Jian Chen's Daluo sword possessed extraordinary power as well, so he was naturally unable to stop it. Wayner Yan clenched his left hand into a fist and directly hurled it out to deal with the incoming sword Qi. The Daluo sword had basically run out of power after severing Wayner Yan's 4 fingers. It immediately collapsed from Wayner Yan's punch, scattering as residual sword Qi. However, just when Wayner Yan had dispersed the sword Qi, another strand of golden sword Qi shot over with lightning speed, punching through his chest in just the blink of an eye. Wayner Yan's body trembled violently. Blood directly spurted from his mouth as his face paled. However, he comprehended the laws of strength after all. Not only was his physical strength shocking, but great power also inhabited his body. He was extremely powerful after transforming. Even though he was injured, his battle prowess was not overly affected. Mountains imprint. Wayner Yan bellowed out. He raised his left hand towards the sky, and a mountain immediately appeared. He grabbed it and smashed it towards Jian Chen heavily. As the mountain fell, it rapidly expanded to the point where it could blot out the sun in a single instance. It became a towering piece of rock as it crushed down on Jian Chen. At the same time, the mountain gave off an invisible energy. All the space in the range of the attack froze. Jian Chen felt his body sink as if he had ended up in quicksand. He was unable to dodge the mountainous attack, so he could only take it head-on. Chapter 1801. Obliteration. This Wayner Yan does have some ability, Jian Chen thought. He had come across quite a few early overgods in God King Duanmu's dwelling, but none of them were on the same level as Wayner Yan. It could be said that Wayner Yan was the strongest early overgod he had encountered so far. He was no weaker than Ling Hogong, or even slightly stronger. This was because the battle skills that Wayner Yan possessed all came from the Earth Spirit sect. They were of high grade and possessed extraordinary might. Tai sword technique. Jian Chen formed a hand seal, and a bright white light surrounded him instantly. He turned into a sword as he shot into the sky with dazzling light. From afar, he seemed like a comet in reverse. He collided with the huge mountain that blotted out the sun with a seemingly unstoppable force. The mountain was no ordinary mountain but something condensed from Wayner Yan's cultivation as an early overgod and his power of laws through a battle technique. It possessed an extremely terrifying might. Boom! Jian Chen directly collided with the colossal mountain, and a visible ripple of energy gushed out, expanding as a ring. Jian Chen was like a sharp sword, directly driving through the bottom of the mountain. He moved linearly through the mountain with lightning speed. In just a short moment, he pierced through the entire thing, emerging from the highest point. He was like a miniature sun, shining with dazzling light as he hovered in the air. A tiny crack suddenly appeared on the colossal mountain condensed from Wayner Yan's battle skill. The crack immediately caused a chain reaction. More and more cracks appeared, covering the entire mountain very soon. Boom! In the end, the entire mountain collapsed with a deep rumble. It turned into surging energy that wreaked havoc as a storm, while the mountain itself vanished from the space there. Wayner Yan trembled violently. Blood spurted from his mouth and into the sky. He became even paler. He raised his head as he stared at Jian Chen in shock. At this moment, Jian Chen had seemingly become a sword. He had already readjusted his judgment of Jian Chen before, yet Jian Chen's strength still managed to surprise him. The patriarch of the Tian Yuan clan is actually so powerful. His cultivation level is clearly lackluster, and he only possesses a slight edge in terms of laws. I thought that even if he would emerge victorious in his battle against Wayner Yan, it would be quite difficult, but looking at it now, Wayner Yan is nowhere close to being Jian Chen's opponent. He has actually been completely suppressed in their battle. Xian Dou stared at Jian Chen in surprise. Clearly, Jian Chen's strength had left him taken aback as well. Moreover, He knew that Jian Chen had not used his full strength today. This was because he had not used his trump card, which he revealed in God King Duanmu's dwelling back then. That move had allowed him to take the lives of early overgods. Looks like the patriarch of the Tian Yuan clan has the upper hand. Weiner Yen has already become heavily injured, while the patriarch of the Tian Yuan clan is completely unscathed apart from his tattered sleeve. The patriarch is just too powerful. The patriarch of the Tian Yuan clan's strength is probably even greater than the overgods of the 5 great provinces. No wonder they showed him so much respect and even sent important members of their clan to congratulate him. The gods of the provincial city all communicated with each other secretly. They were all amazed as they looked at Jian Chen in fear and admiration. A few days before, there was an overgod who fought against Master Chanlong. Could that person be the patriarch of the Tian Yuan clan? Suddenly, a spectating god said softly. Everyone present immediately became startled when they heard that, and they all paled soon afterwards. Master Chanlong was a late overgod and a formation master. He possessed extremely great mastery over formations, so many overgod feared him very much. As a result, he was exceedingly famous. If the mysterious expert who fought against Master Chanlong outside the city before was the patriarch of the Tian Yuan clan, he would simply be too terrifying. At that time, everyone stared at the figure that seemed smaller than an ant in the distant sky. They all wondered about that. No one paid any attention to Weiner Yen at that moment. Suddenly, Jian Chen descended with lightning speed, directly shooting towards Weiner Yen as he shone with dazzling light. Weiner Yen hovered in the air sternly as a giant. Powerful laws of strength condensed in his left hand as he threw it towards Jian Chen. With the punch, space rippled. Pure and great power surged through the space, scattering the origin energy there. The punch was immensely powerful, but Jian Chen was currently using the Tai sword technique. He was far more powerful than usual. Boom! This time, Weiner Yan's punch was obliterated. Before the powerful sword Qi, not only had he lost his hand, but even the flesh and bone of his entire left arm from his wrist rapidly vanished. It turned into minced meat and shattered bone as they fell from the sky. The affected part reached up to his shoulder. Weiner Yen could not help but grunt from the intense pain. His entire left hand had already vanished. Even though his body had been strengthened, he was still unable to resist Jian Chen's attack, so he suffered heavy injuries. Spurt! 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 Jian Chen did not give Weiner Yen any time to catch his breath. He directly struck out, and 4 strands of powerful sword Qi pierced through Weiner Yan's body, making him vomit blood. In the end, he kicked Weiner Yan's chest firmly. Weiner Yen collided with the ground heavily. The entire region of Earth shook violently, kicking up soil and dust that covered him up. Jian Chen landed on the ground and slowly made his way towards the deep pit Weiner Yan's descent caused. He directly looked through the dust in the air, clearly looking at Weiner Yen in the pit. Weiner Yen, is this the right to act arrogantly in my Tian Yuan clan you were speaking of? Jian Chen said nonchalantly. His emotionless, icy-cold voice was filled with mockery. Although he had basically used his full strength in the battle against Weiner Yen, even using the Daluo sword and Tai sword technique, he had emerged completely unscathed. Weiner Yen was very powerful. There was barely anyone who could stand against him at the same level of cultivation. However, he was still not enough before Jian Chen. Chapter 1802. Glory of the Tian Yuan clan. Weiner Yen leapt out of the pit he created. He had returned to his original size while his body was covered with vicious wounds. He was covered in blood. In particular, the stab wounds on his body created a chilling sight. Although Weiner Yen had been defeated, he did not appear dispirited at all. Instead, he glared at Jian Chen and said coldly, "Patriarch of the Tian Yuan clan, don't get cocky too soon. Just because you're able to defeat me this time doesn't represent how powerful you are. Your comprehension of laws was just deeper than mine. If we were at the same level of comprehension, who knows who'll be defeated instead?" Weiner Yen continued after pausing for a slight moment. However, I, Weiner Yen, am not a person who does not admit defeat. You win this time, so our Weiner clan will not interfere with the matters of the Dong'an province. We'll let your Tian Yuan clan rule in power for now. Once I comprehend the laws of strength to mid-over God, I'll fight you again. At that time, I'd like to see if you can still defeat me. With that, Weiner Yen left as a blur, directly flying towards the provincial city. Wainer Yan's departure left the surrounding gods amazed. Many people were filled with vigor. A great battle between two overgods had unfolded before them. Although the battle did not last for long, they had benefited greatly from watching on. Most importantly, all of them had understood the patriarch of the Tian Yuan clan's strength clearly. I never thought that the patriarch of the Tian Yuan clan would be such a powerful overgod. Hualuji has been far too reckless. He almost doomed the clan, thought the strongest expert of the Hua family. At the same time, he was secretly relieved. Fortunately, the patriarch of the Tian Yuan clan did not pursue the matter, or his Hua family would have been in great trouble. Hualuji is still held captive in the Tian Yuan clan. Whatever, I won't beg for his mercy. His life can be decided by fate. I just hope that the patriarch of the Tian Yuan clan won't direct his rage towards our Hua family just because of Hualuji. At the same time, similar thoughts crossed the mind of the late god from the Dong family. He was filled with regret about how the god of his family had offended the patriarch of the Tian Yuan clan. I never thought that brother Jian Chen would possess such great mastery over the sword. You really have broadened my horizons. Xian Dou flew over and clasped his fist towards Jian Chen with a smile. You flatter me, Commander Xian. Compared to Commander Xian, my comprehension of the laws of the sword is nothing. Jian Chen clasped his fist back at him and said politely. Xian Dou chuckled aloud. After talking some more with Jian Chen, he said sternly, another overgod has appeared in the Dong'an province. I must report this matter to His Majesty immediately. Brother Jian Chen, I will be bidding farewell to you today. If I have the time in the future, I will definitely come to visit you again. Take care, Commander Xian. My Tian Yuan clan welcomes you at all times, said Jian Chen. All right, brother Jian Chen. Never look down on Wainer Yan. Although he's not your opponent, the Earth Spirit sect behind him is quite a significant power. They're so powerful that even our divine kingdom are unable to fend them off if we began fighting. Please be careful, brother Jian Chen, said Xian Dou. He was extremely stern. He feared the Earth Spirit sect very much. Jian Chen nodded to express that he understood. Soon afterwards, Xian Dou shot off into the distance with great speed. He only left behind a blur. He vanished into the horizon in a single moment. With Xian Dou's departure, the eager gods in the surroundings finally gained the opportunity to speak. They all spoke to Jian Chen politely and with admiration. Back in the provincial city, Jian Chen returned to the Tian Yuan clan and stood before the rubble that used to be the discussion hall. Mo Ling and Ando Fu stood there silently. They would reveal admiration in their gazes towards Jian Chen from time to time. Now, Mo Ling could no longer refer to Jian Chen as a brother like before. Even though Jian Chen treated him exactly the same, he lowered himself to a much lesser position. This was because the concept that power was everything had already become deeply rooted in Mo Ling's mind. He was unable to change it. Behind Jian Chen were the gods from the other clans in the provincial city. They did not return to their clans. Instead, they chose to return to the Tian Yuan clan with Jian Chen. They all remained silent as they stared at the ruined discussion hall. Jian Chen, are you fine? Shangguan Mu'er walked over from afar. She asked in concern as she stared at Jian Chen's tattered sleeve. She did not spectate the previous battle due to her strength. Jian Chen finally smiled warmly as he watched Shangguan Mu'er make her way over slowly. He nodded his head gently and said, I'm fine. With that, he turned towards Mo Ling and Ando Fu and said, Brother Mo Ling, Ando Fu, the destroyed discussion hall must be rebuilt as soon as possible. I will be troubling the two of you with this. Yes, Patriarch, Ando Fu and Mo Ling replied together. Patriarch, we are willing to offer up our power and reconstruct the discussion hall with you, said the gods from the other clans behind him. They expressed their sincerity. Jian Chen naturally turned down the offer. He did not need outsiders to build his discussion hall. The provincial city returned to its previous peaceful state. It was just as busy and prosperous as before as people flowed in and out of the city everywhere. It seemed exactly the same as before from the surface. However, the structure of power in the city had undergone an overwhelming change. The powerful clans no longer controlled the city. Instead, it had become the world of the Tian Yuan clan. The city belonged to the Tian Yuan clan. All the clans had to abide by the various orders that the Tian Yuan clan passed down. Even though the Wainer clan had given birth to an overgod as well, they kept an extremely low profile just like before. Even though their status was nowhere near as great as the Tian Yuan clan, they were also a clan with an over-god, so they possessed extremely great status in the provincial city. No one in the city dared to provoke them. Weiner Yen immediately entered seclusion after his battle against Jian Chen. He no longer bothered himself with the matters of the clan. Chapter 1803. The 5 regions of the Cloud Plain. At this moment, Weiner Yen sat in a room within the Weiner clan as he recovered from his wounds. Even though he had already ingested healing pills, his injuries recovered at an extremely gradual rate. This was because the power of laws of the sword had contaminated all his wounds. If he did not cleanse the wounds of the power first, he would not be able to heal. His laws of strength had granted him an extremely tough body, and it reached an unbelievable level with the amplification of battle skills. It was even enough to rival Jian Chen's chaotic body. However, his recovery rate was nowhere near as great as the chaotic bodies. I heard that you were only a god when God King Duanmu's dwelling was opened, patriarch of the Tian Yuan clan. It has only been a few short years, yet you've become an overgod, and your comprehension of the laws of the sword have even exceeded my comprehension of the laws of strength, reaching the level of mid-overgods. Looks like you obtained quite the fortune in God King Duanmu's dwelling, or you were hiding your strength on purpose before. Perhaps you broke through to overgod a very long time ago, thought Weiner Yen. He did not feel any envy towards the fortune Jian Chen had obtained. But even if you've obtained some fortune or legacy that allowed your comprehension to skyrocket, it's from a dead god king in the end. I, Weiner Yen, have my own fortune, and that was to become a part of the Earth Spirit sect. Weiner Yen closed his eyes slowly. He lowered his head to glance at his vicious injuries as his lips curled into a faint smile. Great confidence and pride flooded his face as he murmured, "Not only have I joined the Earth Spirit sect, becoming a protector, but my master is a god king as well. Even though my master is not as famous as God King Duanmu, nor is he as powerful as God King Duanmu, who even made it onto the God King's throne, he is still alive. A living God King is still more useful than a dead one no matter what. With my master's guidance and nurturing, my strength will grow rapidly. It won't be an exaggeration at all to describe it as skyrocketing. And apart from my master, even the great ancestor will give me some guidance from time to time. Jian Chen, how can your mere fortune from God King Duanmu's dwelling match up to mine? And even without the guidance of other experts, I only used 35,000 years to become a mid-god. My cultivation speed will only become faster with Master's personal guidance and the resources of the Earth Spirit sect. Moreover, my laws of strength have already arrived at the edge of mid-overgod. In less than 500 years, I'll be able to become a mid-overgod. In just 45,000 years, I'll have become a mid-overgod. Patriarch of the Tian Yuan clan, I wonder how much time you've used. You can dominate me right now, but who knows if you still can in the future. Weiner Yen revealed a cold smile. He was filled with eagerness for one of those days in the coming 5 centuries. This was because he was confident that as long as he could reach the level of mid-overgod with his comprehension of laws, he would be the victor. A few days later, the discussion hall in the Tian Yuan clan had been rebuilt. Currently, Jian Chen was listening to Mo Ling and Ando Fu's reports in there. Patriarch, the Hua family and the Dong family have offered up 2/3 of their territory. Apart from them, the other clans in the city have offered up parts of their territory as well. Our Tian Yuan clan now possesses half of the territory in the city. Moreover, all the entry fees paid by outsiders will belong to our Tian Yuan clan in the future. The fees and revenue from the various businesses in the city will amount to several 100,000 low-grade divine crystals daily. Has the Weiner clan made any moves recently? Jian Chen asked. The Weiner clan has not. It is just like before, said Ando Fu. After a moment of thought, Jian Chen said from the patriarch's throne, after deducting the expenses of the clan from the income of divine crystals, split half of it among everyone as remuneration. Give the other half to the madam. Yes, patriarch, Mo Ling and Ando Fu replied simultaneously. Then Jian Chen looked down. In the hall, there were 4 other gods aside from Mo Ling and Ando Fu. The 4 of them came from the Nanyun clan. Nanyun Tong, how much do you know about the Earth Spirit sect and the Heavenly Moon Empire? Jian Chen asked. Now that the Nanyun clan had joined the Tian Yuan clan, they were technically people of the Tian Yuan clan. Nanyun Tong tidied himself a little and stood up politely. He said with a bow, Patriarch, The Heavenly Moon Empire is one of the 6 ancient empires of the southern region of the Cloud Plain. Every single one of the 6 ancient empires possesses unfathomable strength. It's far beyond what we can imagine. Although I do not know the precise strength of the empires, I do know that our divine kingdom of Ping Tian is only an ant compared to them. They only need to flick a finger to wipe out our divine kingdom. The Heavenly Moon Empire is one of the 6. They're the closest empire to our divine kingdom of Ping Tian. The empire has a total of 3 powerful organizations. One of them is the imperial family, which controls the entire empire. The other 2 are 2 large sects in the Heavenly Moon Empire. They're also extremely powerful, possessing extremely great status in the empire. It's said that even the imperial family must show some respect towards the 2 sections. The Earth Spirit sect is one of them. Does the Heavenly Moon Empire possess primordial realm experts? What about the Earth Spirit sect? And you mentioned earlier that the Heavenly Moon Empire was one of the 6 empires in the southern region of the Cloud Plain. Aside from the southern region, how many more regions are there in the Cloud Plain? Jian Chen asked. Although he had spent a few years on the Cloud Plain already, his understanding of its geography was just too lackluster. Nan Yuntong could not help but be slightly taken aback when he heard Jian Chen's question. The patriarch of the Tian Yuan clan was powerful, but his knowledge was simply too limited. However, Nan Yuntong still explained politely. Patriarch, I do not know whether the Heavenly Moon Empire or the Earth Spirit sect possess primordial realm experts. As for the Cloud Plain, the Cloud Plain is split into 5 major regions. They are the eastern region Zaheo, the southern region Blood Sun, the western region Jinjian, the northern region Shi, and the central region Everlasting Tian. The 5 regions have been named like this because each region possesses an immovable eternal empire. They are the Eternal Zaheo Empire of the eastern region, the Eternal Blood Sun Empire of the southern region, the Eternal Jinjian Empire of the western region, and the Eternal Shi Empire of the northern region. As for the central region, it is ruled by the Everlasting Tian Empire. Although there are some ancient empires like the Heavenly Moon Empire in the 4 regions of North, South, East, and West, the 4 eternal empires are supreme existences. They are the true rulers of the region. Only a few divine kingdoms exist in the central region. There is no other empire apart from the Everlasting Tian Empire. Chapter 1804, Passing on Laws, 1. If that's the case, the eternal empires that control the 4 regions are far more powerful than the Heavenly Moon Empire. Jian Chen laid back on the patriarch's throne lazily as he tapped a finger on the arm of the throne gently, murmuring to himself. Only now had he finally gained a deeper understanding of the Cloud Plain. Nan Yuntong nodded sternly as he listened to Jian Chen's murmur. He continued, You're right, patriarch. The 4 eternal empires that control the eastern, western, northern, and southern regions are on a completely different level of power compared to the Heavenly Moon Empire. I've once heard from an overgod that even if the 6 ancient empires of our southern region work together, they won't be able to shake the Eternal Blood Sun Empire. Ancient empires. Eternal empires. Jian Chen murmured softly as the light in his eyes flickered. He seemed to be in thought. After a moment of silence, he continued with his questions. What about the Everlasting Tian Empire in the central region? Veneration immediately flooded Nan Yuntong's face when the Everlasting Tian Empire was mentioned. Respect filled his face as he said gruffly, The Everlasting Tian Empire of the central region is much more powerful than the 4 eternal empires. As for by how much, I have no idea. But I do know that the 4 eternal empires must lower themselves before the Everlasting Empire. Even with their power, the 4 great empires have to behave meekly before the Everlasting Empire? The power of the Everlasting Tian Empire made Jian Chen stern and shocked. Afterwards, Jian Chen asked some more questions about the Cloud Plain before dismissing Nan Yuntong and everyone else. In the blink of an eye, only Jian Chen, Mo Ling, and Ando Fu were left in the grand discussion hall. Mo Ling and Ando Fu looked at Jian Chen, who was sitting on the throne. They seemed to want to say something, but they were hesitating. What is it? You can tell me directly, said Jian Chen. Mo Ling and Ando Fu looked at each other. Afterwards, Mo Ling clasped his fist towards Jian Chen and said, Patriarch, the entire provincial city is under our Tian Yuan clan's control. Without any exaggeration, it's our territory. Yet the businesses we control only amount to 40% of the total. You want to expand our businesses in the provincial city? Jian Chen asked. Mo Ling said, A clan requires cultivation resources to become powerful. Right now, our clan's income is only several 100,000 low-grade divine crystals daily. However, half of this comes from the entry fees of people coming into the city, while the remaining amount comes from our businesses. That only amounts to 3,000 or 4,000 low-grade divine crystals. If you look at the other 5 great provincial cities in the divine kingdom of Pingtian, the clans there basically control 80% of the businesses in the cities. The other clans control the remaining 20%. As one of the clans that control a provincial city, we're the one that controls the least businesses. If we increase the number of businesses a little, we'll be able to make an extremely respectable sum daily. Jian Chen shook his head gently. Even if we can increase our income by several 100,000 low-grade divine crystals a day, it's only several dozen high-grade divine crystals after you convert it. There's no need to force all the other clans in the city to the end of their road just for these divine crystals. Moreover, don't forget that there's also a Wainer clan in the provincial city. Jian Chen continued, more importantly, the two of you haven't truly understood why I founded the Tian Yuan clan. I founded the clan only to provide a shelter for my friends and families. I do not wish to rule. Mo Ling and Ando Fu looked at each other. They probably never expected Jian Chen to give them such an answer. After leaving the discussion hall, Jian Chen directly made his way to the Forbidden Grounds because all the people who had come to the Saints' World with him cultivated there. Yenner, how many times do I have to tell you? You don't use the sword like that. Your stab is too slow. Remember, whether it's striking out or pulling it back, you need to be lightning fast. Your sword lacks a certain sharpness, and it also lacks the determination to kill. Just as Jian Chen was making his way towards the Forbidden Grounds, he heard a familiar voice and could not help but look over. He saw Shi Yu in white clothes, holding a tree branch as she seriously taught Mo Yen how to use the sword. Mo Yen was either not trying, or the sword really did not suit her. Even though she was now at the peak of sainthood, her usage of the sword was still at the level of a beginner's. Jian Chen came to a halt unintentionally before slowly making his way towards Shi Yu and Mo Yen. Patriarch Jian Chen, why have you come? Mo Yen was not trying at all, so she discovered Jian Chen very quickly. She immediately beamed with joy. Shi Yu immediately froze up when she heard Mo Yen mention Jian Chen. She slowly put down the branch in her hand and turned around to look at Jian Chen, who had made his way over. Her feelings immediately became rather mixed, and she clasped her fist towards Jian Chen. Shi Yu greets the patriarch. Currently, Shi Yu's feelings were completely mixed. In the past, she even disdained Jian Chen, yet now, he had become the patriarch of a clan. Even the ancestor of the Mo clan, Mo Ling, had become his subordinate. Patriarch Jian Chen, why have you come here? Aren't you busy? Mo Yen was not as polite as Shi Yu towards Jian Chen. She ran over to him and giggled without any regard for politeness. However, when she glanced at Shi Yu, who stood to one side with a strange gaze, a mysterious smile appeared on her face. She raised her heels and whispered in Jian Chen's ear, Patriarch Jian Chen, I already know why you're here. You must like Sister Shi Yu, right? You began liking her long ago. Don't think that I don't know. I'll tell you secretly that Sister Shi Yu likes you as well. She just can't bring herself to say it. Although Mo Yen spoke very softly, Shi Yu was a deity after all. Let alone her whispers, even if she wanted to communicate with Jian Chen secretly, she would not be able to hide it from Shi Yu. As a result, Shi Yu heard everything that Mo Yen had said, word for word. Shi Yu's face immediately became bright red. She was both angered and embarrassed as she glared at Mo Yen. She scolded, Mo Yen, what are you blabbering about? Stop making up lies. Jian Chen was amused when he Mo Yan's serious expression. He knocked Mo Yan's forehead and laughed. Mo Yen, you can't say these things anymore in the future, or I'll ground you and stop you from going outside anymore. Chapter 1805, Passing on Laws, 2. Mo Yen immediately became unhappy. She pouted her lips, fine then. I want to help you, yet you don't even appreciate it and want to ground me. So much for my good intentions. Mo Yen was no longer in the mood to learn the sword anymore. She picked up her sword and left. Jian Chen shook his head helplessly as he watched Mo Yen walked away. Afterwards, he looked at Shi Yu, and his eyes gradually deepened. He said, Miss Shi Yu also seems to have comprehended the laws of the sword, right? Patriarch, I do indeed comprehend the laws of the sword. Shi Yu straightened herself and answered honestly. Jian Chen's status was completely different from before, so she clearly felt a little unnatural before Jian Chen. However, perhaps due to Mo Yan's words, Xiyu avoided Jian Chen's gaze slightly. Her face remained slightly flushed as well. "Show me what you've comprehended," Jian Chen asked calmly, completely ignoring the redness on Xiyu's face. Xiyu was surprised. She seemed to realize that Jian Chen wanted to guide her personally. A strange light could not help but appear in her eyes. Jian Chen's laws of the sword had reached the level of overgods, while overgods were insurmountable existences in Xiyu's eyes. If she could receive the personal guidance of an overgod who had comprehended the laws of the sword, it would be extremely beneficial to her own comprehension. She might even be able to become a god in a single stroke. Xiyu immediately became slightly excited. However, she sucked in a breath soon afterwards and forcefully calmed herself down. Suddenly, Xiyu emitted a sharp sword qi. A dazzling sword had appeared in her hand. Its light surged as she slashed towards a fake mountain nearby with her full strength. This attack contained Xiyu's greatest comprehension of the laws of the sword. Through the might of her sword, she demonstrated her comprehension of the laws of the sword to Jian Chen. Boom! With a great rumble, the fake mountain was not damaged at all after withstanding Xiyu's most powerful strike. After all, a layer of formations protected the entire Tian Yuan clan. Although the formations were not enough to stop attacks from overgods, they were not something that a late deity like Xiyu could destroy. A gleam of light shone through Jian Chen's eyes. From that single attack, Jian Chen could tell what Xiyu lacked in her comprehension of the laws of the sword. "Xiyu, watch closely," Jian Chen called out. Using his fingers as a sword, he emitted a powerful streak of light and directly stabbed towards Xiyu's head. As Jian Chen stabbed out, a surging sword qi immediately permeated the surroundings. Xiyu sensed it the most intensely. In Xiyu's eyes, she seemed to have moved into a sea filled with sword qi that clustered densely all around her. Endless sword qi surrounded her. Every single strand of sword qi there seemed to represent a law of the world, and the countless sword qi seemed to form the laws of the world. At the very beginning, Xiyu was surprised, but she understood very soon. Jian Chen was passing on his own laws. He was using this method to invoke his comprehensions of the laws of the sword, displaying it to her in the simplest fashion possible. Xiyu could not help but close her eyes. Looking could not allow her to understand the laws that Jian Chen was passing on to her. She had to comprehend it using her heart. If she comprehended some of the mysteries there, it was extremely likely for her to become a god. However, if she failed, Jian Chen's attempt this time would be completely useless and a waste of time. Comprehending the laws of the world was not as simple as cultivation. To cultivate, a person only needed to ingest a few heavenly resources, and they would be able to increase their cultivation with the energy within. On the other hand, there were no shortcuts to comprehending the laws of the sword. It would all be up to the individual. Even after ingesting heavenly resources that assisted comprehension like comprehension tea, personal comprehension was still required to understand the mysteries within there. It would not directly increase a person's comprehension of laws. The sword qi from Jian Chen's fingertips stopped before Xiyu's forehead, and the sword qi slowly dispersed. Jian Chen pulled back his hand, and he stared at Xiyu, who currently had her eyes closed. Around half an hour later, Xiyu finally opened her eyes. There was a sliver of understanding in her eyes. "Do you understand?" At the same time, Jian Chen asked her. Xiyu looked over and saw Jian Chen standing next to a pond nearby with his back towards her. There was a gentle breeze that blew his hair around while his white robes fluttered gently as well. He seemed slightly otherworldly. Xiyu's eyes suddenly narrowed as she stared at Jian Chen's back. Somehow, she seemed to sense an indomitable presence from Jian Chen's back. "I understood a little, but there's still a lot I don't understand," Xiyu said gently as her emotions were mixed. Jian Chen slowly turned around and stared at Xiyu with reassurance. He said, "Since you've understood a little, it means that your affinity for comprehension is extremely great. It won't be a waste for me to guide you." Suddenly, Jian Chen pointed a finger towards the sky. A huge streak of light shot out directly towards the sky. At the same time, an even more powerful sword intent radiated from his body, enveloping the entire Tian Yuan clan in a single instance. The sword intent did not just stop there. Instead, it rapidly expanded throughout the city with lightning speed. Eventually, it enveloped the entire city, shocking everyone around. What powerful sword intent! It's from the patriarch of the Tian Yuan clan. What is he doing? This is definitely the laws at the level of Overgod. It's the Overgod from the Tian Yuan clan. Whether it was the gods of other clans or the people who had settled down in the city temporarily, they all gazed in the direction of the Tian Yuan clan in shock. Mo Ling and Ando Fu hurried over within the Tian Yuan clan as well. They watched from the distance as Jian Chen pointed his finger towards the sky as he stood next to the pond. Shock filled their faces as well. Jian Chen had already closed his eyes, connecting himself with the laws of the sword in the surroundings as best as possible. He maintained his posture for around 10 minutes before finally opening his eyes. At that moment, his pupils had lost their original black. They shone with dazzling, silver-white light. They seemed as bright as lanterns when the white eyes and pupils fused together. At that moment, Jian Chen slowly guided his finger through the air. As his finger moved, the formations on the fake mountain in the distance immediately collapsed. A huge slash gradually appeared there. The mark on the fake mountain grew longer and longer as Jian Chen's hand moved. It flickered with light, and it seemed to contain a mysterious power. A sliver of exhaustion appeared on Jian Chen's face after creating the mark, as if leaving behind the slash on the fake mountain had taken a great toll on him. The slash contains all my comprehension of the laws of the sword. It'll just depend on your affinity for comprehension as for how long it will take you to become an overgod, Jian Chen said to Xiyu before leaving step by step with exhaustion. He directly made his way to the forbidden grounds. Xiyu stared at Jian Chen's back as she felt greatly touched. Her lip quivered gently. She seemed to want to ask Jian Chen why he wanted to help her like this, but in the end, she held back her desire to do so. She understood that even many disciples could not enjoy something like passing on laws, as it simply took too great of a toll on the person who was passing on the laws. Even when a few masters would use a method like this for their disciples, the masters would only pass on a portion of their laws. However, according to Jian Chen's words, he seemed to have engraved all his comprehension of the laws of the sword there. If all the mysteries in the slash could be comprehended, she would directly be able to become an overgod. Chapter 1806. A God King's treasurer Mo Ling and Ando Fu naturally saw Jian Chen leave behind a mark for comprehending the laws of the sword for Xiyu as they were standing to one side. They had their own thoughts about the matter. Currently, Mo Ling's emotions could only be described as overjoyed, while Ando Fu was filled with envy. He sighed to himself. Just why did his Ando clan not possess a great woman like Xiyu? If Yuer can end up marrying the patriarch, it would be a joyous matter, thought Mo Ling. He was filled with anticipation. Although he knew that Jian Chen was already married, having several wives was very common in the saints' world. As a matter of fact, a woman having many husbands in the saints' world was common as well. Currently in the forbidden grounds of the Tian Yuan clan, Jian Chen, Shangguan Mu'er, Shao Jin, Shao Ling, the White Tiger, Newbies, Rui Jin, Hong Lian, He Yu, Xiong Zhong, and the others from the world of Forsaken Saints had all gathered together. All right, this is all I know about the saints' world so far. From today onwards, you can cultivate in the Tian Yuan clan in peace. This clan was founded for you in the first place. Jian Chen told everyone all he knew about the saints' world as he sat on the ground. Since they had come to this world, they had to understand everything important about it. Jian Chen, have you heard any news of our dragon and phoenix clans? Rui Jin asked. Anticipation filled his eyes. The three of them had assisted and protected Jian Chen with everything they had back on the Tian Yuan continent just so that they could find their clansmen. This was because they had come across the winged tiger god from the ancient times back in the lower world. The winged tiger god had told them before that if they wanted to find their clansmen, they had to follow Jian Chen. Jian Chen was their only hope for reuniting with their clansmen. It was exactly because of this that they treated Jian Chen's life with even more importance than their own back on the Tian Yuan continent. Senior Rui Jin, don't worry. Although I haven't heard anything about the two clans right now, please believe me. I will devote myself to finding your clansmen, Jian Chen swore to Rui Jin, Hong Lian, and He Yu. Hong Lian was wearing her fire-red dress. Her face darkened as she sighed gently. Don't get too optimistic about our clansmen, Rui Jin. Back when our clansmen followed the beast god up to the higher world, the strongest of them were only saint emperors. It's probably very difficult for them to survive with such weak strength. We don't even know if our clansmen are still around or not after so much time. I believe that they're still around because they followed the ancient winged tiger god up to the higher world, Jian Chen said confidently because he understood that the winged tiger god from the ancient times was not as simple as it seemed on the surface. I hope so, Hong Lian said softly. Only after listening to Jian Chen's explanations did she understand the vastness of the saint's world. Just the cloud plain could be described boundless. And the saint's world had a total of 49 great plains and 81 great planets. Big brother, I miss Master so much, Xiaoling said while choking back her tears. Deep yearning filled her eyes. Jian Chen immediately comforted her before conversing casually with everyone else. Afterwards, everyone dispersed. Apart from Xiaoling and Xiao Jin, who had run out eagerly, everyone entered seclusion. Jian Chen entered a room. Currently, he sat in the center of the slightly gloomy place and held a space ring in his hand. Jian Chen examined the space ring and murmured, "It's time for me to look through what is left." The space ring was the one that Fairy Hao Yu had removed from God King Duanmu's remains. She had given it to him when they parted before. As soon as Jian Chen sent his senses into the space ring, he became stunned by the vast space inside. It was nothing like a space ring. The space in there was virtually a miniature world. Without any doubt, this space ring could hold the entire Tianyuan continent. Jian Chen expanded the senses of his soul to envelope as much space as he could. He discovered a large number of materials, heavenly resources, and scrolls in the space ring. He had even come across a few bottles for pills, but most of them were empty. There was only a bare minimum number of divine crystals. Jian Chen knew that Fairy Hao Yu had basically used up all the divine crystals and the pills that were helpful to her when she condensed her body. As a result, the lack of divine crystals did not surprise him at all. Jian Chen took out all the scrolls first. After tidying through them, he discovered that the scrolls possessed some cultivation methods and various battle skills left behind by God King Duanmu, as well as his personal notes for cultivation and so on. These were not the cultivation methods and battle skills God King Duanmu used. Instead, he had slowly accumulated them across his life. There were even 2 cultivation methods created by God King Duanmu, but they only reached over God unfortunately, making them incomplete. There were over a dozen battle skills, and they were all of an extremely high grade. Some of them would even be extremely beneficial to God Kings. The battle skills suited people who had comprehended various laws, except for the sword. Next, Jian Chen looked at the notes about cultivation God King Duanmu had left behind. There were a total of 3 scrolls of notes. One scroll described the laws of space, while the other 2 were both devoted to the laws of the sword. Jian Chen ignored the notes on the laws of space, as they were useless for him right now. Instead, he looked at the notes on the laws of the sword. After just flipping through it, he beamed happily and immediately put it away like a treasure. Fantastic! With these 2 scrolls of notes, my way of the sword will be close to breaking through to the partial achievement of sword spirit. Jian Chen was extremely excited. God King Duanmu's laws of the sword could not exceed his own by too much, unlike the Nirvanic Immortal Exalts. As a result, God King Duanmu's notes were useful to Jian Chen. 10,000-year God Origin Pills. Soul Recovery Pills. Afterwards, Jian Chen looked at the pills, and he immediately beamed. There were many types of pills, with many that he had not even heard about. However, there just happened to be ones that garnered his interest. There were a total of 5 bottles of 10,000-year God Origin Pills. Each bottle possessed exactly 10 pills, so there were 50 pills in total. There were 3 whole bottles of Soul Recovery Pills. Each bottle also possessed 10 pills, amounting to 30. There are actually 30 Soul Recovery Pills here. At that moment, Jian Chen became as joyful as he had ever felt. He no longer had to worry too much about using his strands of profound sword qi now that he had these pills. However, he also understood that as his strength increased and his soul grew stronger, his need for soul recovery pills would grow. Just a single pill was enough to recover the power of an early overgod soul, but after becoming a mid-overgod, one would probably need 2, 3, or even 4 pills to fully recover. As for God Kings, they would need as many as several dozens. Chapter 1807. Secluded Cultivation. Putting aside the 10,000-year God Origin Pills and the Soul Recovery Pills, there were 4 pills that Jian Chen had never seen before. He did not know about their exact usage. Apart from them, there were over 20 empty bottles. From the marks on the bottles, Jian Chen could easily tell that they had been opened recently and Fairy Hao Yu had ingested all the pills inside. There were quite a few heavenly resources left in the ring as well. The most eye-catching one was a ginseng that was completely golden and 3 meters in length. What a large ginseng. It basically looks like a small tree. Moreover, the ginseng is completely golden as if it has been plated with gold. I can tell with a single glance that it's extremely precious. Jian Chen could not help but sigh in amazement. He had seen quite a few ginseng on the Tianyuan continent, but he had never seen one so big. Apart from the golden ginseng, there were even more heavenly resources and medicinal herbs. They were all the type that Jian Chen could not name. However, without a doubt, they were nothing ordinary. Violet Scalestone. Master, there's Violet Scalestone. At this moment, Jian Chen heard the voices of the sword spirits. What's Violet Scalestone? Jian Chen was slightly surprised and immediately looked around. Master, Violet Scalestone is a material for forging weapons. It has already reached the 9th grade of the immortal tier, making it one of the crucial materials for forging the twin swords. Master, the Violet Scalestone is 30 kilometers ahead of you. Ziying told Jian Chen. Jian Chen immediately expanded his senses and indeed, he found a huge piece of rock that was 3 meters wide at the place that Ziying had mentioned. The rock was completely violet and possessed a strange patterning, making it seem like scales. This must be the Violet Scalestone. Jian Chen studied the piece of rock. He knocked it with his hand gently out of curiosity. He could tell just how tough the rock was from touching it. Even if he used his full strength, he would probably struggle to leave behind a mark. It really is a 9th grade immortal tier material, Jian Chen marveled. Master, there's a piece of profound lightning rock 20 kilometers to the west. It's also a 9th grade immortal tier material. Fantastic. I never thought that we'd find 2 materials at once, Xueqi said excitedly. Jian Chen immediately found the profound lightning rock. Just like the Violet Scalestone, it was a type of mineral. Lightning flickered on its surface, and it would produce sparks from time to time. Moreover, the electricity from the rock was extremely dangerous. Even Saint Emperors would basically be doomed if they came in contact with it. I wonder who would touch the rock if I threw it onto the Tianyuan continent. Jian Chen could not help but wonder. Ziying, Xueqi, have a look again closely. See if there are any other materials for forging the swords nearby, Jian Chen said to the sword spirits. There was a huge pile of materials that Jian Chen did not recognize in God King Duanmu's space ring. Only the sword spirits knew whether they could be used for refining swords. All right. We'll have a look closely, replied Xueqi before looking around seriously again. However, they failed to find a third material that could be used to forge the twin swords. There were quite a few materials for forging swords. As a matter of fact, there were many of them. However, the grade of the materials was just too low, so they could only give up on them. It's still quite the surprise to be able to find 2. We can slowly collect the other materials later, Jian Chen said in satisfaction before putting the space ring away. Afterwards, Jian Chen called for Mo Ling and gave him a portion of the cultivation methods and battle skills. He used them as the cultivation methods that the Tianyuan clan could provide. Once a member of the clan had made great contributions to the clan, they could use their merit to exchange for the cultivation methods. Jian Chen left the better, remaining cultivation methods and battle skills on a stone table in the Forbidden Grounds so that the people from the Tianyuan continent could choose whatever they wanted once they emerged from seclusion. Afterwards, Jian Chen told Mo Ling and Ando Fu about how he wanted the clan to develop in the future before leaving all the matters of the clan to them. On the other hand, he entered seclusion. Jian Chen sat in the room as the huge golden ginseng he had found in God King Duanmu's space ring was placed beside him. Not only had he found 50 10,000-year God origin pills in God King Duanmu's space ring this time, but he had also found a large number of heavenly resources, including the golden ginseng. A supreme God King had collected all these heavenly resources, so they were of extremely high grade. The heavenly resources he had collected from the Shenhuang microcosm could not match up to them. As a result, he wanted to see if he could reach the 11th layer of the chaotic body through these heavenly resources and the 50 10,000-year God origin pills. The medicinal effects of the golden ginseng will probably be very violent and powerful. But my chaotic body has already reached the 10th layer, so it's naturally not a problem for me to withstand it, Jian Chen murmured before directly ripping off a root from the ginseng and wolfing it down. Immediately, droplets of golden fluid rolled down from the corner of his mouth with energy. As the energy radiated from the golden juice, the entire room became filled with energy. The only problem was that the energy was extremely powerful and violent. Many heavenly resources possessed overbearing and tough effects, so very few people ever consumed them directly. They were basically all refined into pills, and their brutality was removed by combining them with other medicinal herbs so that their effects were gentler. Probably only other cultivators who possessed a body as tough as Jian Chen's would be able to wolf down heavenly resources as recklessly as him. Jian Chen used his hand to wipe the corner of his mouth and swallowed all the juice. He did not let a single droplet go to waste. As the root reached his stomach, they exploded within him like gunpowder. Wild and brutal energy wreaked havoc within him, rampaging through his flesh and organs. Originally, Jian Chen believed he could easily endure the medicinal effects of the golden ginseng with the toughness of his 10th layer chaotic body. However, only now did he suddenly realize that he had underestimated the ginseng too much. The effects were so violent that Jian Chen had never seen anything like it before. Jian Chen's body shook wildly as he furrowed his brows tightly. The pain was so intense that even his face had paled slightly. What wild energy, Jian Chen thought. He gritted his teeth as he devoted himself to refining the energy. It was an extremely arduous process for Jian Chen to refine the energy within the root. With his ability, he spent an entire month to completely refine all the energy. Jian Chen did not stop. He pulled off a second root, and without even frowning, he directly threw it into his mouth. Chapter 1808. 15 years Jian Chen refined the tremendous energy within the huge, golden ginseng. It was an extremely long and arduous process. He required a very long time to wear away the brutal energy before being able to transform it into chaotic force. After all, the tremendous energy within the golden ginseng was not as gentle as the energy within the violet cloud peaches that could be easily absorbed without any difficulty at all. Jian Chen lost track of time as cultivation was timeless. He devoted himself to cultivation. Near him lay the 3-meter-long golden ginseng. However, the ginseng was only half of its initial size now. Jian Chen had devoured all its roots and refined into tremendous energy, so the chaotic Niden in his dantian gradually grew. 5 years passed in a flash. The golden ginseng had vanished from the gloomy room while Jian Chen held the last piece of fist-sized ginseng flesh. After sighing, he shoved the last piece of ginseng flesh into his mouth before closing his eyes and devoting himself to refining its energy. As the last piece of ginseng flesh reached Jian Chen's stomach, he finally devoured the entire huge ginseng after 5 whole years. The energy within the golden ginseng was enough for my chaotic Niden to grow from the size of a soybean to the size of a thumb. The energy required for any progress after I've reached the 10th layer of the chaotic body has increased by so many times. I wonder if the other heavenly resources from God King Duanmu's space ring and the 50 10,000-year God origin pills will be enough for me to reach the 11th layer or not, Jian Chen thought. Even though early overgods posed no threat to him, and there was no need for him to even fear mid-overgods with his current strength, he was not a late overgod's opponent. He had managed to emerge victorious against the late overgod master Chanlong, because the latter was a formation master. He was skilled at using formations against his opponents and not in open battles. Hence, Jian Chen managed to achieve a close victory against him. I've gained a stable footing in the Dong'an province now, but there are still some people who can threaten me in the divine kingdom of Pingtian like Yang Kai, who has reached late overgod, and the commander of the Royal Divine Army, Xian Do. I would not be their opponents, as my 10th layer chaotic force is only equivalent to God's. If my chaotic body can progress some more, reaching the 11th layer, my cultivation would directly be on par with overgods according to the sword spirits. By then, will there still be any more overgods that are my opponent? The only people I will have to fear will probably be god kings, thought Jian Chen. Jian Chen had gained a detailed understanding of the corresponding cultivation levels for the future layers of the chaotic body in the past few years. The 11th layer of the chaotic body was equivalent to Shen immortals in the immortals world, and Shen immortals were equivalent to overgods in the saints world. If he reached the 12th layer, he would be equivalent to the 9 heavenly Shen immortals of the immortals world. 9 heavenly Shen immortals were equivalent to god kings in the saints world. The 12th layer was also the peak of the partial achievement of the chaotic body. Surpassing the 12th layer and reaching the 13th would be equivalent to reaching the major achievement. The chaotic body had a total of 18 layers, and the 13th to the 18 layers were all a part of the major achievement. The 13th layer of the chaotic body was equivalent to immortal monarchs in the immortals world, which were equivalent to infinite primes in the saints world. Although the cultivator's strength would increase substantially with each layer of the chaotic body, the difference between minor cultivation levels in the primordial realm was also extremely great. As a result, Once he reached the 13th layer of the chaotic body, his strength would progress very slowly. Below the primordial realm, each layer of the chaotic body would be equivalent to a major cultivation realm or even several of them. However, the 13th layer, 14th layer, and 15th layer would all correspond to infinite primes due to the huge disparity between each cultivation level. The 16th, 17th, and 18th layers would correspond to chaotic primes of the saint's world. However, due to the power of the chaotic body, people who had reached the 18th layer would be able to hold their ground against regular grand primes, even though they were only peak chaotic primes technically. Beyond the 18th layer was the great perfection of the chaotic body, which only existed in the legends. No one had ever managed to reach the great perfection of the chaotic body, including the few people with the innate chaotic body throughout the history of the immortals world. I have to reach the 11th layer as soon as possible, Jian Chen made up his mind. After devouring the golden ginseng, he immediately removed other heavenly resources from God King Duanmu's space ring and wolfed them down. Who knew whether Wayne or Yen would ask for other experts of the Earth Spirit sect to move against him now that they had fallen out? As a result, he always felt pressured. Only when he became even more powerful could he be free from worry. A few decades were less than a split second to the Dong'an province that had already existed on the land of the Cloud Plain for several 100,000 years. Now, Jian Chen had already been in seclusion for 15 years. Although Jian Chen never appeared within the clan during this period of time, the impression he had left in the hearts of the other clans in the city remained the same. The name of the Tian Yuan clan had completely spread across the divine kingdom of Ping Tian, so everyone knew that a Tian Yuan clan had appeared in the Dong'an province. Moreover, their patriarch had defeated the over-god of the Wainer clan, and the clan had claimed the entire province as their land. It was to the point where even the royal capital would not interfere with anything that happened in there. As a matter of fact, quite a few people heard about the Tian Yuan clan of the Dong'an province in the neighboring countries as well, leading to quite a few people feeling admiration for them. The Tian Yuan clan had become the insurmountable existence within the Dong'an province now. As for Mo Ling and Ando Fu, they basically managed all the affairs in the clan as Jian Chen was in seclusion. As a result, they had become authoritative members of the clan, and they were people who could shake up the entire province wherever they went. Chapter 1809, Partial Achievement of Sword Spirit, 1. As Wainer Yen was also in seclusion, the Wainer clan had kept an extremely low profile in the provincial city across the years. The two gods of the Wainer clan waited for Wainer Yen to emerge quietly. Due to the miserable outcome of the fight between the patriarch of the Tian Yuan clan and Wainer Yen, the two gods did not dare to expand their territory recklessly during the time that Wainer Yen was in seclusion. Clearly, they feared the Tian Yuan clan. However, the Wainer clan still became famed within the Dong'an province and the divine kingdom of Ping Tian. However, their radiance had been suppressed by the Tian Yuan clan, so barely anyone paid any attention to them in the provincial city. The strength of the Tian Yuan clan increased rapidly over the 15 years. The number of gods they possessed had reached 12. Apart from Mo Ling, Ando Fu, and the 4 gods from the Nanyun clan, 5 other gods had joined the Tian Yuan clan as elders. The last god was a woman who had not been cultivating for particularly long, Shi Yu. Shi Yu's talent was extremely great, and she had only cultivated for a few mere millennia. Even without any help, becoming a god was only a matter of time with her talent, and it would not take too long. After Jian Chen left behind a slash passing on his laws, basically engraving all his comprehension at sword spirit into it, Shi became a god much faster. On a certain day 15 years later, Jian Chen slowly opened his eyes in the forbidden grounds of the Tian Yuan clan. With a flip of his hand, he removed an unknown heavenly resource from his space ring. Jian Chen stared at the heavenly resources that seemed very standard calmly before shaking his head gently. He sighed, I can't consume anymore. I've already consumed more than a dozen over the past years I spent cultivating. My body has developed resistance, so any benefit I get from consuming more heavenly resources will diminish. However, I do have 5 drops of liquid lime. Liquid lime has the wondrous effect of cleansing the body of residues from consuming too many pills and the resistance developed from using too many heavenly resources, Jian Chen murmured gently. He immediately took out his bottle of liquid lime from his space ring. He removed the cap and poured a droplet into his mouth without any hesitation at all. Jian Chen immediately felt a cool sensation throughout his entire body when the liquid lime reached his stomach. As the cool sensation rapidly spread, he felt an indescribable comfort, and even his pores opened up. He could feel that the resistance he had developed to heavenly resources was slowly dispersed with the permeation of the cool sensation. Moreover, Jian Chen felt his soul become extremely clear. Vaguely, the profound laws of the world seemed to have become even clearer in his eyes. The effects were similar to drinking comprehension tea. Not only could the liquid lime cleanse the body of any pill residues or developed resistances, but it also possessed some effects like the comprehension tea. However, the effects of the liquid lime were clearly much less potent compared to comprehension tea. Several hours later, the cool sensation from the liquid lime finally receded slowly, while Jian Chen's resistance to heavenly resources had finally been completely eradicated. Liquid lime really is good stuff. Jian Chen could not help but sigh in amazement. Afterwards, without any hesitation, he immediately consumed more heavenly resources to increase his strength as quickly as possible. Time passed silently, and unknowingly, Jian Chen had consumed all the heavenly resources in God King Duanmu's space ring. As the heavenly resources were all high-grade, the benefits they granted were far greater than the high-grade divine crystal mine Jian Chen previously absorbed. His chaotic Niden grew larger and larger. Jian Chen did not stop because of that. He took out 5 bottles from his space ring again. To no surprise, they held the 10,000-year God Origin pills. A single 10,000-year God Origin pill was equivalent to 10,000 years of cultivation. That would mean 50 pills equated to 500,000 years worth of cultivation. I wonder if these 50 pills will be enough for me to reach the 11th layer of the chaotic body, Jian Chen thought. He removed the bottle cap and ingested 5 pills in a single stroke. He was already able to endure the brutal energy within the God Origin pills when he was still at the 9th layer of the chaotic body. So now that he had reached the 10th layer, they posed even less of a threat to him. After some time, Jian Chen had consumed all 50 pills. When he looked inside his dantian, Jian Chen was filled with helplessness when he saw the size of his chaotic Niden. It was almost the size of a fist. All the heavenly resources from God King Duanmu's space ring, and the 50 God Origin pills were still not enough for him to reach the 11th layer of the chaotic body. Aside from the 10 blocks of high-grade divine crystal from the Divine King, I only have a few pieces of supreme-grade divine crystals from God King Duanmu's space ring. But I feel that even if I absorb them all, it still won't be enough for my chaotic body to break through, thought Jian Chen. The light in his eyes flickered in thought as he sat in the room. A while later, Jian Chen made up his mind. His eyes became determined, and he suddenly stood up, making his way out of the room. I never thought that I've already cultivated for 50 years. Jian Chen could not help but sigh as he stared at the sky while standing outside. Mo Ling, Ando Fu, come here immediately. Jian Chen immediately summoned Mo Ling and Ando Fu after leaving the Forbidden Grounds. Very soon, Mo Ling and Ando Fu arrived before Jian Chen at the same time. However, there were 10 other gods aside from the 2 of them. Greetings to the Patriarch. A total of 12 gods stood before Jian Chen and bowed towards him. Jian Chen glanced past them and discovered that there were a few people he had never seen before among them. He immediately understood them to be outsiders that had joined the Tian Yuan clan. Afterwards, Jian Chen looked at the white-clothed Shi Yu. He could not help but smile faintly, and he said in some relief, Shi Yu, you really haven't disappointed me. You've become a god in such a short amount of time. You're tuning in to the Xueqi's Martial Arts Saga YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.